What's up? What's up? What's up, loungers? We are going live because we have Eyes that's live, and she's talking about the receipt that Carrie'S had posted about Samba Queen, okay, in regards to pedophilia. So we're going to get into all of this morning. I got time today. I am off today, so we are definitely going to talk about all of this, okay? What I heard was disgusting, and I am going to break down what I thought about it. I want the men to sound off. I want the women to sound off. I want everybody to let me know how they feel and what they think about all of this stuff. But while Eyes is wrapping up, I'm going to go ahead and play us a timer, and then we're going to get right into this. We're going to play the video as well. We're going to listen to this. We're going to analyze this. And I'm going to drop the link because I'm going to let you guys talk about it. Also, if Samba is listening, I'm going to give her the opportunity to give her perspective on this, to give her point of view on this, and so forth. But yes, we are definitely going to get into this conversation because this shit is nuts, y'all. Okay, like my skin was crawling from what I heard her say. So yeah, we're definitely going to get into this. And like I said, this would be one of those righteous times where you actually go in the spirit in regards to children, okay? Because this is disgusting. This is nuts. But again, you know, I wasn't there, so perhaps she has some other type of explanation for why she was saying this, okay? But either way, let's go ahead and let's sit back and relax. Y'all go ahead and grab y'all some orange juice, some breakfast, some whatever, because we're going to be here for a little while.
right? And I have an urge. You're putting those two actions.
So right now, guys, we're still listening in on eyes.
Two actions to why a man would satisfy his urge.
Make sure y'all hit the like button. I appreciate everybody in the building.
So traditionally speaking, men wouldn't.
She's wrapping up.
For a stay, he typically doesn't sleep with men, but because he's only around men and he wants to have intercourse, he's going to go sleep with a man. But that's not his first choice. She's comparing that to a man touching a child.
And that's not the same.
Like the concept of why the man would touch a child. I'm only listening to what I'm hearing. So if you think that we hearing something different, I think it's a great time to give clarification, because I think that's a respectful thing. Because if we were having a logical conversation, it's no beef. It's just, okay, well.
Listen to Shakim over there talking about I'm stealing her live. Little does he understand that, bro, we said we're going to piggyback off each other for these lives. So enjoy yourself, Shakim. I appreciate you being in the building.
We almost finished.
If you had been listening the whole time, you would know that that's what we talked about.
Okay,
Eyes is about to end her show.
And my phone is acting stupid. I'm done. I'll see y'all later.
All right, listen, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, for those of you who weren't aware of what me and Eyes were talking about this morning, shout out to Carrie'S, because Carrie posted a video to back up the evidence of what she was saying on Dee Durrell's show yesterday. She had talked about how Samba Queen had was attempting to normalize pedophilia. And I told her, I was like, yo, I need to hear that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to just go with that narrative, you know what I'm saying, without having some type of evidence or some type of proof of that. Okay. And so I really wanted to kind of hear it, you know what I mean? And she said she was going to retract her statement until she was able to prove what was actually said. Okay. Now, after that conversation, I actually heard from two other loungers. One of my loungers hit me up and said that they actually remembered that conversation. At first, they didn't think that the conversation was as deep as Secktah had made it, okay? But then they thought about it a little bit and said, yeah, there was some stuff that was said that is cringeworthy, okay? And, you know, it could be viewed as such. And so I wanted to hear it because this person who said that is a very credible person. And I said, okay, you know, cool. I want to be able to hear what was said, you know, to verify what was going on. And then there was another person who was in the chat that had mentioned this as well and said, yes, they remembered this conversation. Okay, so two very credible people in the sector were able to remember this conversation between Carrie'S, Samba, and Muslim. And shout out to Muslim. I do see you in the chat room. I appreciate that. And make sure that you do hit the like button on the way in, because we are going to sound off on this. I do have the link in the description or here in the comment section as well. The men and the women are welcome to hit the link. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But you are welcome to hit the link and give your commentary on this. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this. But I appreciate you, Riz, for being in the building. Beautiful Bernice as well. And yes, cancel Samba. We're going to see today whether or not by the end of this conversation, whether I actually feel that way or not. Of course, you know, there's always going to be the naysayers who is going to overlook anything no matter what people say. But the bottom line is I'm not willing to do that, especially when it comes to pedophiles and when it comes to children. Okay. And particularly when this is a therapist that we know is a therapist and is talking like this. Okay. But Muslim, I appreciate you being in the building as well. You were actually part of the conversation. So if you'd like to sound off, that would be great. But you know, of course you don't have to. Brixton, I appreciate you. All the men that are in the building, definitely appreciate you guys being in here. And again, Outlaw, I appreciate you for being here as well. And let's see. Did I get everybody? ARAB. You said Secktah engaged in this full-fledged convo with Samba Queen 8 months ago, continued to engage with her for months thereafter, and is just now realizing the sentiments expressed are problematic. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're here to just throw off the show, right? And to just turn this on Samba Queen. I mean, turn this on Carrie somehow, but at the end of the day, this didn't come out of Carrie mouth. This came out of Samba Queen's mouth, okay? And a lot of times women, I don't know if you're a man or a woman or both or whatever, but either way, a lot of times women will have delayed reactions to things. We may not hear things right away. We may have to go back and listen to something. Something might come back to our spirit later. But either way, this isn't about Carrie, okay? This is about the sickness that was said in that conversation. And we're going to break that down, okay? So if you're here to try to drag Carrie, you're in the wrong live, okay? You got to go somewhere else for that. Over here, we're not going to drag her. We're actually talking about Samba Queen. And my intentions are not even to drag Samba Queen. My intentions are to get to the bottom of what the fuck she was talking about, okay? Because what she said was not normal. It wasn't normal. It doesn't come from a normal mindset, okay? It doesn't come from a healthy mindset. It sounds like a mindset that has been traumatized, okay? And yeah, we're going to go ahead and break that down. We're going to talk about healthy men versus sick men, okay? And this kind of stuff. And perhaps what she may have encountered, but not, you can't compare that to sexuality. So I appreciate you being in the building, though. Hey, Durrell, I appreciate you being in the building. What's up, bestie? I definitely appreciate you as well. And TMK, I appreciate you. You said, Riz, you was spoken on a little greasy last night. Do you need to update your verses? Child, I'm just saying, okay? And you said, TMK dog, LOL, update my AI, right? What's up, Vici? What's up? You said, what is the argument? Is she being called a pedo? Is she attempting to rationalize the thought process of pedos? Is she trying to normalize it? So I understand what's going on here. So I think we're going to get to the bottom of that, Vici. I think we're going to come to an understanding of whether or not, I can't call her a pedophile, right? Because according to this conversation, it didn't sound like she was admitting to such behavior. It just sounded like she was rationalizing such behavior, okay? I could be wrong. And again, I'm giving her an opportunity to speak on it if she'd like to. But, we're going to listen to it and get our perspective of it. And we're going to do it in fair use. So, but thank you, Vici. You said, Riz, I'm already on it and you'll be singing also. Oh, shit. You said, what's up to Triggs? You said, TMK, Marahaba Aki. You said, TMK, I'm drafting up a contract. Oh, shit. You said, we have plenty of sound bites on Samba. She is very disturbed. And at this point, I'm starting to see that. And again, like I said, I didn't want to put that on her without having that, actual information and knowing whether or not this was fact. But you can't deny a video. Okay. So, it just is what it is. You said, I wish my lady had delayed reaction so I wouldn't have to put this trash out until next week. You know what? You said, what's up to Muslim? Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get right into this hot topic because, again, like I said, I am not here to say that she is a pedophile or any of that. I'm most definitely going to break down a lot of things that are being said. So let's go ahead and get into this. And shout out to Carrie for this video. All right, guys, fair use, okay, which is the copyright disclaimer of 1976, which is the allowance for fair use for the purpose of commentary, criticism, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and fair use is permitted by copyright statute, okay, that might not otherwise be covered for such a thing. So we're going to go ahead and get into this now. Again, make sure that you guys do hit the like button on the way in. And child, we're going to be here for a second. So, because we're going to kind of break down what's being said. We're going to start at 5 hours and 6 minutes of the video. And Samba starts cooking around 5 hours and 7 minutes. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Wrong to be gay. And so they become, a lot of them, do you know it's a euphemism in the Catholic Church for gay people to go into the priesthood because they'll say shit like, I knew I wasn't called for marriage. And so they have been taught to believe that if they are sexual deviants, that they should go become a priest. That's the only way to go to heaven and not hell. That's why they be molesting kids. They was already sexually repressed and fucked up because, and that's the thing, only perverts is attracted to that. What heterosexual man is gonna sign up for a job where he can't get no pussy? Muslim?
No, but here's the thing. What I'm saying to you is look, that could be a small portion of it too. But what I'm saying to you is, I could bet probably majority of these men, if they didn't become priests, they'll get married and have a family.
Ah, man, you crazy.
It's because they're taking away from them something
No,
that's
they became
natural.
priests because they didn't want to go get no pussy and get married.
Now, I want to agree with Carrie-Ann on that point, right? I don't think that there's any man who would decide to purposely live a life of celibacy just for the sake of messing with children, right? I don't think that. I also don't think that, you know, a man would go into the priesthood just because he's a pedophile either. I want to make that clear, okay? I don't agree with that. I don't think that that is really a thing. I think that there are Catholic priests who are not pedophiles, okay? There are Catholic priests who, you know, the other opposite end of sexuality and sexual activity is celibacy, okay? That is the other option, right? It is not always another option there. There literally is no other option. It's either that or this, right? Anything outside of that would be considered sickness, okay? So let's go ahead and let's finish up what they were saying.
It's nothing. They wasn't forced to be priests. They didn't want that. Muslim?
I don't know about that. And first of all, why can't they get married? They get married.
Wait. Let me add my 2 cents into that. I think some of them get into the priesthood, yes, because they already have that sick propensity to fuck with little boys. Yes, I think some of them do. I think some of them may get twisted and they say it's kind of like gay for the stay. You have a lot of guys that go to jail that are not necessarily homosexual, but hey, there's booty here and it just happens to belong to a male. So I'll put my thing in any hole that's available. So I think that may be part of it as well.
I'm going to stop her real quick because I want to say this, okay? Now, first of all, sexuality, you know, homosexuality or heterosexuality are, you know, are sexuality, okay? That is included under the whole umbrella of sexuality, okay? That is, you know, your preferences, your choices, you know, and I can agree with that. I do think also that there are men that go to jail and don't have sex at all, right? They don't have to have sex, you know, just because they're in jail and now, you know, the only thing available to them is men. I don't think that they just automatically turn gay per se. I think that somebody who does that has already had those tendencies or those feelings prior to going to jail, whether they came out of the closet with that information or not, or whether they chose to live that lifestyle, you know, is another thing. But to say that a man is going to jail and because the only thing available to him is men, he's going to just start sleeping with men, I think is a stretch, right? I honestly think that there are men that go to jail and literally just don't have sex for years until they come out, you know, or whatever, you know, and that is possible. That is a thing. So, but let's go ahead and let her continue.
Then I think there are heterosexual priests that start sexing out nuns. So you have all different types.
That I think is normal. Wait, let me ask.
And again, that is a form of sexuality, right? That is a normal human reaction to desire, right? If a priest goes in and he starts having sex with a consenting woman, you know, who is a nun, that is a form of sexuality. It's homosexual, it's heterosexuality, right? Just because they're in the Catholic Church doesn't mean they don't have sexual feelings, right? So yeah, I do think that that is a form of sexuality, right? Not sickness. So let's go ahead and keep going.
All the same.
For those men who you say that are like gay for the stay, right? I agree with you on that. Do you think that those same men, if they couldn't get no men, they would start fucking kids, or you think that's something different?
I think if you're around children, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's all you're around are kids, and you got these sexual feelings, and you know that these kids are innocent and will do whatever you want them to do, you'll take advantage. That's what I think happens to some of these guys. I don't think that if they could just walk through life, or if they
Really?
could have,
That's terrifying.
it is terrifying. But that's
So I'm having a really hard time with grouping that kind of behavior with sexuality. Okay, I'm having a very hard time with that, because number one, no normal man is going to be only around children. Okay, even priests in the Catholic Church are not only around children. You understand? There's several adults, like you said. There's nuns there. There's other priests, right? There's all kinds of other people there where that they could choose from. So why would they choose a child? Okay, that is not a form of sexuality. That is a form of pedophilia. Okay, that is predatory. That is sick. That is monstrous, right? That is not something that I can condone and just try to, make an excuse for it. But let's let her continue.
what
And
I'm
you a
saying.
whole therapist. Yeah. Oh my
Yes,
God.
what I'm saying is, I think because that's what's available for some of them, that's what they go to. Now, if they
What's
were
up, Muslim?
able to
Hold
have
on one second,
wives, able to
Zoe.
have sex, they probably wouldn't do it. It's kind of the same gay for the stay type thing.
But I mean, I be horny. I'm celibate. I ain't nothing. Ain't no enough lonely in the world for me to touch no child.
Carrie,
Yeah,
Carrie, wait.
Now, I want y'all to hear.
Hold on.
I want y'all to hear what Samba says, because again, we know Samba is a therapist, right? I'm pretty sure she has many years of experience in dealing with sexual behaviors of human beings and different things like that. So I'm not trying to take that away from her, but I want you to hear her explanation of what men's sexuality is. Okay, I just, as a woman, I want you to hear what her explanation of a man's sexuality is.
Have the sex drive of a male. You
Yes.
cannot understand the sex
Okay.
drive of a male. A male, for a man, his
Yes.
sex drive is only second to his desire to eat and drink and breathe. That's
So
the
you think
sex
a
drive.
good percentage of men would fuck kids if it wasn't no pussy available?
I'm not saying that they would fuck kids necessarily, but you've had that
Oh
happen.
my God.
Carrie, you've had it happen throughout history where
Yeah.
pedophilia was rampant, and it was because children are innocent, they're easy prey, and they're easy to get a nut off into. I'm trying to tell you, it's purely biology.
Oh my
It's not about,
God.
it's not
I don't even know how you can use that word together with describing someone sexually molesting a child. What do you mean get their nut off in, and like this? You're talking as if this is normal behavior. This isn't normal behavior.
not about sexual attraction to children per se. It's about the need for an orgasm.
Oh my
If
God.
that's the only thing that's around them, them little
Yo,
choir
y'all blowing
boys.
my mind.
That's
I
all.
So there is never a need to just be celibate. You don't think that there are men who are around children or are around, other adults, that they don't have any control of themselves, that somehow they have to get this nut off, they have to get this orgasm. This is how you're speaking of men. And you're saying that, so because of that is why all these pedophiles are running around. It's because that's what it sounds like. I could be wrong, right? But what it sounds like you're saying is the reason why we are so swamped with pedophiles in the world is because men's strong sexual needs and their desire to have sex and to have an orgasm is why they're molesting children. You don't think it has anything to do with sickness and disease? You don't think it has anything to do with mental illness? Like, as a therapist, I'm shocked that this is your thoughts. But let's go ahead and keep going. We're almost done.
That's all that's
So
around
being
them.
a pedophile is not a separate form of sexuality. You saying normal straight men, if pressed, could fuck a child?
No. What I'm just
Oh my
no,
God.
don't generalize it. We're just talking about these priests. We're
I'm
just
just
talking
talking
about
about the priests. I'm not
Yeah,
talking
but
about
they,
everybody.
I think that they was all already perverse, and that's why they became priests in the first place.
Now,
because
Yes,
some
I
of
think
them
that's
were-
the case for some of them, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's the case for all of them.
So you
right.
think some of them was normal straight men?
To me, any man that joins the priesthood and then turns around and sexually molests a child, he had intentions of doing that from the rip. Okay. That was not, oh, he just decided while he was a priest to suddenly become a child predator. That was something that was already there. Okay. Before he became a priest. Like, I have a hard time believing that, and I'm gonna let you sound off in a second, Muslim. I'm having a very hard time believing that any man, any upstanding regular person would join the priesthood, and then after being in the priesthood for years, after deciding to take a life of celibacy, now you decide to start, abusing children because that's the only thing in proximity to you. What are you talking about? You can leave the priesthood, you can go get married, right? If you're a regular thinking man, why would that come to your mind? Okay. I'm having a very hard time with that, Samba. A very hard time.
And
Yeah.
just loneliness.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh
yes,
my God.
yes.
Yeah.
Just like gay for the state, they were normal straight guys until they
Take
were
it like
surrounded by only men.
No, but a man could consent. A baby is a baby.
Consent doesn't matter. A child will
Oh
consent.
my
Listen,
God.
Carrie, a
Listen
child
to
will
this.
consent if you tell a child, "I'll have candy for you. Touch me."
That's
I
not-
have.
How is that consent? You are now telling us that a child can consent to sexual molestation if you offer them candy. That, in their mind, is the consent. In the predator's mind, that is the consent. And you're literally justifying that. Muslim, you want to sound off?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My only point there was, first of all, I never generalized anything. Okay. There are people that go in there just to do that. What I was saying was, right, when they become priests, what they're doing is they're mimicking Jesus Christ alayhi salam, by not getting married. And they
Right.
always have these choir boys there. Now, what these choir boys do is everything for them. It's like a personal secretary, for example. Over the years, by taking something natural, let's say the person, he is a heterosexual, right? Natural to him is what? A woman. But you're taking that away from him by not allowing him to get married. And I don't understand, why can't they get married? But however, by
But
taking
wait a minute,
something
wait. So I hear what you're saying, right? And I just want to clarify. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just trying to
no, go
clarify
ahead.
what you're saying. So yes, I do believe that sexual activity is part of natural life, right? Yes, I do agree with that. But there are people that can and do go for years without having sex with someone, right? So
Yes,
here's my
yes.
thing. Here's my thing. If a desire to have sex comes up, you cannot tell me and maybe you can, okay, because you're a man, all right, because I want you to put yourself in this position, okay, as a man. If you decided to join the priesthood in order to become like Jesus Christ, right? If you decided to join the priesthood, and then even if you got choir boys around you, are you telling me that over time, because you're not getting pussy, that now you're going to start looking at these choir boys? I'm just speaking to you.
Yeah, no, me, no, but I
Okay,
can't
then
speak for
wait.
all men.
Okay, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
The reason why is because you're not sick. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I
So
didn't develop
the
that. Yes, I
sickness,
didn't.
the sickness would have been there way before you joined the priesthood if you were deciding to now look at these choir boys as an option, quote unquote
Or
option. You
or
understand?
or or if D Darrell could come up here because he's a therapist, or
Right.
it could develop over time by them being, they have power now. They have the power to molest these
So
kids.
you're telling
I don't
me
believe that
that
they're.
pedophilia develops after being around children? You don't think that's something that's a sickness already?
it develops as a sickness. I'm saying.
Right, but that's not something that just comes out of the blue. Generally,
No,
that
no,
would come from trauma. That would come from, that's not coming from, I'm not getting no pussy.
no, no.
There's
The
plenty of niggas
evilness.
that don't get no pussy and they would never touch a child.
No, I'm saying that develops some evilness from the position that they're in power, and
There's
that's
plenty of men
why.
in power that would never touch a child. Like
Again, I can't.
I can't condone that. I can't sit
Here
here
it
and,
is. I came up
I
here and I
can't, I'm
said,
not putting the two together. I'm not
no,
understanding.
no. I said I'm not generalizing this for every person. I'm saying, look, out of all the priests that probably go in there, this is probably a third, or maybe less, 20%. Did y'all ever
But
see that
those would be
epidemic?
but those men, like, why are we jumping over the fact that those men who joined the priesthood and then later, whether it's 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, later start molesting children? Why are we trying to rationalize that as if they didn't have that sickness already? What do you mean they
That
developed it over time? Where
that
do you
could
get
have
that?
happened. Yes, that could have happened. They did that. Yep. That they
No, I'm
had it
just saying,
going in.
where do you get the idea? Like, what research do you have that would
Oh
say,
no,
hold
no,
on,
no, no,
listen
no.
to me, listen to me,
No, no. All
listen.
I'm saying is this. All I'm saying is when you take something natural away from a man, right? They're gonna try to find to satisfy their sexual needs in an unnatural way. That's all I'm saying. Now, not
Okay, so let
everybody.
me ask you then, because you're a
No,
man.
me no,
No,
me
no, no,
no.
okay, but then you can't
Yeah.
say that about men.
Right,
If
but
you're
I'm saying
saying,
to
wait a
you,
minute, no, wait,
right,
wait, wait.
right, right.
I'm talking to a healthy-minded man, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your wife, just heaven forbid, left you or something happened, right, and you were not having sex anymore, right, and this went on for an extended period of time, you cannot tell me as a healthy minded man that you would develop the opportunity to molest children. No. If
No,
you
no,
molest, if
no.
you start molesting children, okay, it is
Yeah,
because you already had that sickness in you, not because that developed because your sexual options went down. That doesn't make sense at
I
all.
say, I say that it can't
Children,
be 100% one
and
way
you
and
can't just look at
100% the
Catholic
other way.
priests because there's monks, right? There's all kinds of men who are out here who are celibate and choose to be celibate. Okay, and
I,
that
I
doesn't mean that they are going to now develop the desire to hurt children. No,
look. I
that
agree.
desire
I
was
agree with
already
you.
there.
No, no, no. Listen, I agree with you. Probably the majority of the men that was already there, but we can't say for sure that it didn't develop over time. Now, what's the percentage? Maybe it's
Where do
more
you get that from? No, 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 no. We can
because look.
say
All
that.
right.
No, 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 no.
I'll give
We
you where I
can
get it
say
from.
that. Where do
I'll
you
give
get
you.
that from?
Okay, I'll give you. Hey, I'm gonna take you away
Especially,
from.
and I'm having a hard time with that because I'm talking to a man who doesn't have such thoughts.
Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, but I gotta take you away from the priesthood and all that.
Okay.
In Afghanistan, right? In Afghanistan, women are not part of the society. And when this is the biggest problem that the Americans had, when they used to go recruit captains and generals and all that, you know what they used to hate finding on the base all the time? Little boys. And you know what those little boys were there for? Now tell me, was
Muslim,
those men?
regardless of whatever country it is or any of that shit, okay? The idea that any man would desire a child, okay? Whether it's over time, I don't know what you mean this over time. I mean, over time would be the development through life, the development through, teenagehood, the development into a man, that would be over time. But there's no way that a man, a healthy minded man, you're not going to convince me ever that a healthy minded man would be able to go through life having sex with women or men, right? It doesn't matter. And then later on, they develop, after they stop having sex with somebody, they develop the need to molest a child.
I
No.
agree with you. I
All right,
agree with you.
let me let Outlaw sound off. What's up, Outlaw?
Hey, what's up? There's just no way. This is very simple. What
It's very
happens is the
simple.
priest, the priest goes off and he gets a woman. Or you notice the nuns get knocked up. The
Exactly.
children thing is, yeah, the moment you open that Pandora's box up, in a way, you're defending this behavior and saying a man cannot control his sexual urges and that there is no sexuality for a man. He leans towards whatever he can get access to. So if you deny him one thing, he'll adjust and then he's gonna even attack children. And that's bogus. I can't co-sign
That
that.
is
No,
There's
sickening.
no.
I cannot condone that at
Outlaw,
all.
what I'm saying is that some men allow their sexual deviancy take over them, their actions.
Muslim,
Right,
those
but
men
that's
are
the
already
point, Muslim.
deviant.
They
They
have a
are already deviant.
Right.
They're already
You
deviant.
can't.
They're already deviant. I agree with that. But when did that happen? We can't say.
Oh, sure. Some of these
No, I can
people,
definitely say it was
there's
way
lots of
before they got
research.
around those kids.
Go
There's
ahead.
lots of research that shows people who, if you've ever been molested, those tend to be the people who end up being molesters. The ritual, the
Exactly.
abuses people end up undergoing, that's what will trigger for you that this is something okay. You have to be almost jumped in like a gang. You have to be trained into this sort of thing that it's okay, so that the natural boundaries that you should have are gone. The natural desires now have been flipped. It's like from if somebody is raised eating nothing but junk food all of their life, that's all they're gonna know. They're always gonna want to lean towards that. That's their taste has to be made. You have to give a man or a woman that taste via abusing them. That is not no natural leaning. Okay, I'm isolated. There's no woman around. I'm getting in the car. I'm gonna plop down a few dollars and I'm gonna do something with an adult. That's what a normal man would do if the urge got too great. He's not gonna say Billy over there is looking nice and I'm gonna take advantage of him.
Exactly. Unless he's sick. Unless he's
Okay,
already sick there. Like there's
I
already
agree with.
has to be a sickness there before he would even come off like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I cannot ever condone that men are just so, so animalistic that they just need and desire to just orgasm. And so therefore they're gonna grab anything and just start fucking like, no, that is a
No,
sickness. That
no,
is a
no.
deviance.
Yeah, no. Again, I came in here and I said overwhelming majority. I'm not generalizing men. I didn't say that. All I'm saying that this can be possible for a few people. Now, what about jail outlaw? What about people who are lifers, and after maybe 10 or 15 years, they start to look at other men. Now, of course, there are people that don't do that.
There,
What do you think about that?
there's no listen. Those men are already open to that, brother. That's nah, man.
Exactly.
Listen, how if you if your sexuality, which I believe is fixed, unless something happens to you, I don't care. You can put me under the jail. There's nothing a man can do for me. I'm not interested in no other men. I'll gladly be celibate. You can go the whole rest of your life and never have sex again. Will it be frustrating if you're a straight man? Sure, but you're not gonna die. And on the flip side, the one pushback I'll give you, all of the recent research, look at this incel, the red pill, all this stuff. Most men, their testosterone levels are dropping. Their sex drive has greatly dropped due to a lot of environmental poisoning and a lot of stuff. So actually, one should be able to argue that men now should be able to have a greater level of self-control. Plenty of dudes now are happy just living in their mama basement. They're not interested in sex at all.
Got you. Yeah, I agree with that argument. I agree with you.
So to me, it sounds like, and I'm not accusing you of this, Muslim, right? Just like I'm not really accusing Samba of this, but the conversation sounds as if you're sympathizing with pedophiles
No, 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 no. All I was saying was
because you're
that
literally trying to rationalize
no, no,
the.
no.
Wait, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You're literally trying to rationalize the idea that if a man doesn't have the natural, the natural sexual relations, right? Which that could be argued as well, right? When it comes to homosexuality and heterosexuality, what is natural, right? When it comes to sexuality. However, I would never put the idea of pedophilia into the same category of some normal sexual behavior, because it's not. It's just not. And you can't put the two together.
Yeah, I didn't say it was normal. I didn't say that.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
even to rationalize it is just weird.
No way. I didn't rationalize it. No, I said from the beginning it's wrong. These are pedophiles. These are people who are taking advantage of harm of kids that are innocent. That's all I said.
Outlaw says all men don't have the same sex drive. Many modern men have much lower sex drives because testosterone is dropping. And you said she might as well claim all men are predators and have sex to have sex. And I agree with what you're saying with that, Outlaw, because that's what it sounds like she's saying, right? That this men have this overwhelming desire to have an orgasm. Maybe that's the men she knows, right? Maybe that's the men that she has experienced. And if that's the case, that's pretty fucked up, you know. A man should definitely have, you know, a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? Have a lot more discipline in life, right? There's just a thing called discipline, and a lot of men actually, you know, have that. So I'm not sure where this idea comes from, and it's scary that this is coming from somebody who's a therapist. That's all I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
you're
look at
on that.
look at TMK's question right there. His comment. He
Yeah,
says, "I
Darrell,
disagree."
hold on a second, I'll get to it. And Darrell, yeah, that's what I thought too. The whole get a nut into it was cringeworthy, you know. And I'm saying, you know, sometimes in conversation we might say things and be talking just to be talking, you know. So that could have just been a wrong, bad choice of words. But this entire idea that men need and have this need to get off, you know what I'm saying, and that they will do anything, and that, you know, that they're going to rape women, they're going to molest children, they're going to do anything. That is rationalizing and normalizing that kind of behavior, right? That is kind of teaching women like, hey, women, just get used to it, you know. Hey, this is what men do, this is how men are. So if this man decides to touch your kid, this is the reason. You know, if this man decides, you know, that he's messing with your neighbor's child, you know, don't get mad because this is his desire. This is what you're saying. And that's not okay. That is not normal behavior at all. At all. But go ahead. Go ahead. You said look at TMK's right here.
No,
You said, please
no.
stop generalizing men. The order of what drove us changes with age. What is she talking about? I agree with that, right?
No, it's for.
We're not the
It's
same man. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Muslim.
I'm sorry, sweetie. It's the fifth comment from the bottom.
Okay, I'll get to that. Right now, I'm going over everybody's comments. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. So, what do you think about this? Because, like TMK says, stop generalizing men. The order of what drove us changes with age, right? Like even that happens with women, right?
I agree with that.
You know, and even as women, sometimes our sexual desires get a little bit stronger as we get older. You know what I mean? While I was raising my kids and stuff, I really didn't have a whole lot of strong desire for stuff. You know what I'm saying? But now that they older, yeah, I want me a little nookie. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm not looking at no kids. You understand? Now,
Yeah,
Eyes made a very good point. Eyes made a very good point in her show. And I want to bring that up. What she said was that what does Samba say to women who are pedophiles, right? What do you say about females who are touching little girls, females who are touching little boys? Do they also have that same quote unquote sexual desire, or is this a sickness, right? Because when you look at it from that perspective, you can't just put this on Catholic priests. I get what y'all were talking about, but this is a deeper issue because Catholic priests aren't the only pedophiles there are. There's pedophiles in every single religion, right? There's pedophiles in every single race, right? Every single country and so forth. Some places are worse than others because there's no human rights, you know what I mean? And so forth. There's no children's rights and stuff like that. That doesn't take away from it, but it's still there. So what do you say about females who are doing this? Are they, you know, now we got to hold them to the fire and hold them to the stake. There's no excuse for women, but for a man, we can make all these excuses. And I think that kind of thinking and that kind of thought process is exactly why some of our children are still being molested. You know what I'm saying? And why these kinds of things are actually happening, because we've got people that are willing to rationalize the behavior, even if they're saying, no, I'm not rationalizing it, but you are, because you're literally making excuses and telling us reasons for why this is happening. I don't want to know why. You understand what I'm saying? The bottom line is, this is not normal. This is not okay. And this is not a form of normal sexual behavior. This is predatory. Period. Bottom line.
I agree.
I'm just saying. Let me go ahead. You said, I hope she doesn't have male clients for therapy. She thinks men are beasts. Right. She literally thinks men are animals. Like, they just need to just, like some lion or something. Like, you just got to go grab up some lion pussy and you just got to just, that's not how that goes. Okay. Like, men know how to, they definitely know how to discipline themselves. I'm pretty sure Muslim, you know how to discipline yourself, right? You know how to carry yourself sexually responsible, right? You're not running around here just fucking everybody because you need the desire to orgasm. If your wife got sick or something happened where she wasn't able to give it to you, are you going to just start now going out and just fucking everything because you have this desire to have sex, because this is your main reasons for living is breathing, eating, and sex? Where does that come from? Where did she get that thinking? Where did she get, I would like to see the research that she got from, where she got that information from. And is she passing this off to her patients? Are you passing this type of information off to your patients? Are you passing off this type of information to patients who have gone through sexual trauma? You know what I mean? And they're coming to talk to you about it. And now you're rationalizing their predator's behavior. Is this going on with you? Because that's exactly what I'm getting from this conversation. I'm just saying. Speakeasy says, and shout out to the men that are sounding off on this. You said, when you give predators an excuse for why they do what they do, you effectively have just given them a reason to continue. Real shit. I'm just saying. You're literally saying this is okay because, this is what a man's nature is. Now, how you can tell us what a man's nature is, I don't know, right? I think that there's not a single degree in the world that could tell me what a man's nature is, right? I can study men. I can, go into anthropology. I can go into all kinds of stuff. I can go into studying the human mind. I can go into, psychology. I can go into all of these things, but I would still never know what a man is unless I'm actually a man. I'm a female. I'm a woman, right? Even if I was gay and I was sleeping with women, I'm still not a man. Do you understand? So even if I had, gender reassignment, surgery, I would still be a woman. Do you understand? I would never be able to tell another man what a man thinks. And this is probably why I wanted the men to sound off on this particularly. Because I wanted, because I think us women, we're very dangerous when we start telling people what men think and how men think and what men feel. You understand? Based off of our own trauma or based off of our own situations. If you've experienced this and this is your trauma, this is something you got to work out. This is something you got to deal with, right? But you can't,
vice versa.
Right, and vice versa. Yeah. Exactly. And we can't turn around and dump that on each other, right? I can't dump my trauma on other women. I can't dump my trauma on other men, right? And men the same. Can't just, because you have experienced something with women, or because you have experienced or seen pedophilia in women or something of this nature, that doesn't normalize it. Do you understand? And now everybody's got to see it as normal. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So shout out to you, Speak, and I agree. Outlaw says, Samba thinks sexuality isn't fixed, it's situational. Right. And Vici says, I got to be honest, I don't think she actually meant consent. I think she had a poor choice of words. And that's possible, right? It's possible that she could definitely have had a poor choice of words. And like I said, when we're talking to each other, sometimes we say things, and we're just trying to have conversation. But again, those types of conversations are quite dangerous. And I do think that it's important to make sure that we're not saying stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, no child can actually consent to sexual behavior, with an adult. That's just what it is. It's just not happening. Okay. But yeah, but in my mind, what I got from her saying that was rationalizing a predator's idea of consent. Okay. Like you're explaining to us what the predator's idea of consent is. And this would be, oh, yeah, if I give you some candy, this is consent to the predator. We don't give a fuck about that. You know what I mean? That's irrelevant. The bottom line is this person is a predator. And I think that's the bigger issue, right? But yeah, and I agree. I think that may have been a poor choice of words, but I also don't think I can't look past the fact that we were having that part of the conversation to begin with, right? Like
What you think the word?
words you could have used still could not have rationalized that type of behavior.
Facts.
And
You think seduce would have been a better word?
no. So say it. Like, are you saying like if the person says
Like she said, candy. I think something about give them candy.
they try to seduce them with candy?
Yeah,
That might have been better, right?
Yeah.
Than as opposed to saying they consent with candy.
Facts.
Yeah, that could have been better. Even that's still cringe, right? But it's not
Yes.
as cringe because no child can consent to this. That's just period. No.
Facts.
And Ray says, Vici, that's what I was thinking too. Okay. And Speak says that shit has nothing to do with preying on children. Exactly. Like you can't. This idea of a man having the need to have sex, he would just leave the Catholic Church and go get married. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like this is in a mental, in a clear-minded person, in a healthy-minded person, they wouldn't start going into deviation. You see what I'm saying? That deviation was already there before they even got in that position. Like period. That was there. Whether it was suppressed or not, it was there. There's no way you would convince me that this happened and developed later. No. Because if that's the case, then that means you're going to become a pedophile if you stop having sex with your wife. You could potentially, you're saying that you can potentially become a pedophile if you stop sleeping with your wife. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true about you, right? I know that's not true about you. So we can't say that about anybody else. You said they could sneak off and pay an adult female to lay with them. What is she talking about? Right. They can't go, like, you don't think a Catholic priest has ever been to a strip club, right? You don't think a Catholic priest ever goes up into a brothel, ever goes up into a dungeon or some shit just to get their desires off or whatever. There's plenty of other normal ways that a man could get his rocks off. Adding a child to it, what do you mean? That was already a sickness that was there, period. That wasn't something that they just decided to start doing later on. So you said false Muslim. He said the only therapist those kinds of people need is Smith and Wesson Associates. Fuck out of here. Okay, just saying. What's up, West Bank? Appreciate you being in the building. And Divine 7, I appreciate you as well. You said, what the hell is Muslim talking about? I agree, because I'm having a very hard time just keeping up with the idea of, this could develop later. We don't know if this developed. What do you mean? Like, yeah, we know, you know what I'm saying? That this most definitely was a deviance that was already there, right? This didn't just start developing, because if, like I said, if that's the case, then you could develop this too. Any of the other normal men in the sector could develop this too. You're trying to tell me that, if the Speakeasy and his wife, stopped sleeping together and there was no other quote unquote options, he would just start messing with a child? No, because that desire was never there to begin with. You see what I'm saying? I even have to say this. I'm gonna ask you this too, Muslim, as a man, right? Now, if say you did something and you went to jail, okay? Now, according to you, you're a heterosexual man. If you went to jail and say you went to jail for like 40 years, right? Are you trying to tell me that you would start sleeping with men?
No, I'll sleep with my right hand.
Thank you. Thank you. See, there's other ways to release this desire. You see what I'm saying? Other than, oh, now I don't got no women. Now I'm gonna turn to some dick. I'm like, no,
How am
what?
I sleep with a man that got
What?
bigger muscles than me and stuff? No, of course not.
Yeah,
No
that's
way. Yeah,
so that's the point I'm trying to make. So if somebody
yeah.
goes to jail, right, and they start sleeping with men, it's because they already had a desire to sleep with men. There's no way they became gay in jail. Like, what are you talking about? How does your desires don't change, right? No matter where you're at, it might adapt, but it doesn't change. You don't become homosexual because you're in jail. You understand what I'm saying? There's plenty of men that's in jail. We know plenty of men that's been to jail. There's plenty of men in this sector that have been to jail, right? I know goddamn well y'all not gonna say, oh yeah, because I couldn't get to my baby mom, I decided to sleep with Pookie over there. Like, no, that's not how that goes. That's not how that works. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said, hey, Eyes, you said, ask Muslim, would he be susceptible to those feelings? Is this why Muslims countries separate the women from men because they believe men can't control their urges? That's a
Can I
good question.
answer that? Yeah, let me answer that. My country is here. So next question.
I think what she was trying to say is Muslim countries, not
I
your
don't
country.
live there. I don't live there. I live here.
So you wouldn't know
I
what
wouldn't
those
know.
things are. Because you
No.
talk about stuff like that a lot. You talk about Muslim countries and some of the
Yeah.
laws there and some of the things that happen there.
Through
So what do you think about that? Do you think
through
that
documentaries and all that stuff. But I live here though. You know what I mean?
okay,
I don't live there. I was born and raised here.
you were born and raised here? Most of your family was raised here too?
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense to me. Okay. All right. So let's go on. You said you said Muslim, are you trying to speak on a 50 something old man wanting sexual relations with 20 something year old women? Yeah, see, that's different, right? But to say that a grown man just suddenly starts desiring children because that's what's in proximity to him, I have a hard time with that. I really do. TMK, you says, I disagree perfectly. Sane people can be transformed when under extreme circumstances or stress. You may be moved to act out of character given the circumstances.
That's possible. That's
Well,
possible.
here's the thing. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here's the thing. And Bombay, maybe you can answer this for me, right? Because you're a man. Okay. Now I agree that I think that extreme circumstances could cause people to act certain ways. I don't think that that is an extreme circumstance, though, of a man being a priest, right? Because this is not prison. You can literally leave the priesthood. You can literally leave the church and go and get some pussy. You understand what I'm saying? You can go and be fucking a nun in the middle of the night, right? You can go and masturbate. There's so many other things you can do. So this isn't extreme circumstances when it comes to the Catholic Church, right? Now, maybe you're talking about when it comes to prison, okay? So, because in prison you can't get out of prison, right? You're just there unless you escape, and if you escape, you're still coming back. Now, in those extreme circumstances, maybe in that case, right? But I'm also having a hard time with that because there's female guards. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on. Men are having sex with female guards all the time in the prison, right? So I'm having a hard time with the idea of it being an extreme circumstance, particularly when it comes to this subject. Just again, like I said, there's always other options, right? There's no way that as a healthy minded man, whether you've been in this Catholic Church for years or not, is going to sit back and the first thing they're going to come up with is, I'm going to go ahead and go mess with this child. You see what I'm saying? When there's strip clubs all around, when there's hoes walking up and down the street that can suck your dick real quick, when there's, other females in the church, like there's so many other options. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get how that would be a thing, but you can answer that for me if you'd like to. You said this shit is super wild. Brixton, I'd like to hear from you too on what you think of that. Like if you, were in a situation where you decided to become a monk or become a priest, and there wasn't women develop, right directly in your, proximity, but there were children there, are you just automatically going to turn to that because this is now some kind of quote unquote option, right? I'm having a real hard time with that. You said, say it again, outlaw. And Eyes, you said, do you believe environment can change perceptions or your feelings, unconventional behavior? What's up? What's up, Carrie? You said, she says, I say negative things about men and make blanket statements. Well, this is definitely some crazy shit right here. But I wanted to go back to Eyes. You said, do you believe environment can change perceptions and your feelings and your feelings of unconventional behavior?
It's possible.
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly, right? Yeah, I can say it does. But again, I think this is coming from a space of, and when we're talking to somebody who is talking about this as a therapist, okay? I think that would be coming from a space of trauma. You understand? Like what you guys are saying is, the environment can change your perceptions, right? Yes. If a person who has been molested already and continues to go through trauma without addressing those issues, yes, that environment can cause them to change their feelings, to have unconventional behavior. They can develop the same behaviors, and so forth. Yeah. Somebody who's always constantly in a state of fear because of trauma in the home, right? Yes, that could develop certain behavior in them later in life. Some people who have become murderers, right? For instance, or have become serial killers and so forth. Most of them experience major trauma in their environment, right? So yeah, I absolutely do think that that's the case. However, what they were talking about was, the idea of a Catholic priest. And a Catholic priest, if they are carrying themselves in this way within the church, this is not something that they developed while they were there, right? Because clearly, like I said, there's several other options. They got their right hand, they got their left hand, they got their own mouth. They got, like, let's talk about it, right? They got the
Oh
hose.
no.
They got the hoes walking up and down the street. They got the strip clubs on every corner, right? They have the nuns that are there. They have the members that come to the church. There's so many other options if they have a healthy mind. If they don't have a healthy mind and they have a deviant mind, right? Then yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you said, she says, I never let people express opposing points of view, which is crazy because you absolutely did in that conversation. But yeah, you said, she said, my dad molested me, but I don't think all men are sexual predators. Exactly. Like everybody's father is not molesting them. Everybody's man, every man in every woman's life is not. Yeah, I got molested as a child and it wasn't by my father, right? As a matter of fact, I have a very close relationship with my dad to this day. And I absolutely adore my dad, So and my dad is not sexually irresponsible. You know what I mean? So, again, every man does not think this way. And I think that it's dangerous to be saying stuff like that and to rationalize that kind of behavior. Just saying. You said, I'm evil for not listening to her, but touching a kid is normal, or we're normalizing it, right? Which, like she's trying, it almost sounds like it, I could be wrong, but it sounds like she's trying to normalize that and, and give excuses for why so forth and so on is happening. What's up, Lance Christopher? You said, so the rock in the molesting robot mentality is a factor with some people, but not all, right? Like, this doesn't make any goddamn sense, right? You said, pick me to the core, child. You said, should therapists use the word consent in an irresponsible way? Is that a thing? I agree. I think that might be a little strange, right? Like, and I think that's why I'm having such a hard time with it. Because, yeah, maybe that was a poor choice of words, right? Maybe it was. But either way, whether it was a poor choice of words or not, it's still rationalizing the behavior. and this is crazy. This is crazy. You
It's
said
a better
coerced.
word. Yeah.
Yeah,
Better
yeah,
word.
we could have used a better word, but either way, I think that the idea of just rationalizing it to begin with is just nuts. It really is. It really absolutely is. And yeah, coerced. You said, interesting. He doesn't know anything about Muslim countries now.
All right. Since she's pressing, give me a Muslim country. There's 100 of them. Give me which one you're talking about, Eyes.
I think she's going to answer that in a second. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. I don't necessarily, like I said, I'm not trying to drag her. I just felt like this conversation was nuts. And yeah, maybe she can explain this stuff, and help us understand, where she was coming from. But there's a bunch of Muslim countries, but I don't know, hundreds of Muslim countries, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And all of them have different rules too. Like some of
yeah,
them are
yeah,
not the same.
yeah. Like
Like
Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world.
yeah, I was looking at a video in Indonesia last night, and there was a masjid there. I didn't know that there was a Muslim country.
Well, anyway, let me drop down. Thanks for having me, sweetie.
No problem. I appreciate you coming up and just sounding off and giving your thoughts on that. I appreciate all the men that definitely gave their thoughts on this situation because, again, like I said, I have personally had a very hard time with rationalizing that. Right? I did listen to it, and I had to listen to that video a couple of times before I was able to like really give a response or give a thought on it. But yeah, I absolutely have a hard time with this. I think that I would really love to hear where Samba's thought process was coming from. What kind of yeah, your own mouth, okay?
All right, I'll see you later.
All right, baby. All right, baby.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming up, Muslim.
You're welcome.
But no, no, yeah, there's just other options. In other words, right? There's just no way that you're going to convince me that anybody in their right mind, and anybody without already having some deviancy within their aura, is going to just now start thinking about messing with a child, even if in extreme circumstances, right? There's just some things, even in extreme circumstances that you might do, but other times I don't think so. What's up? Alex? What's up? Alex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, sis?
Hey, what's up? The reason why I asked that question is because I've been raised around Muslims. So even if you don't live in a Muslim country, culturally speaking, they implement certain laws that are specific to the religion. I.e.,
Right.
if you're with a Muslim man, traditionally, if women would be separated from the men. Like let's say you have men coming to the house, the women would be separated. So when I'm asking you that, I'm asking you specifically, culturally speaking, why are those laws implemented in Muslim countries where they have a thing where they separate the men from the women? So
That's a
even
good
if you
question.
don't live in a Muslim country, you practice Islam, which means there are certain practices that they typically do traditionally. That's what I meant by that. Not thinking that you know everything about the laws of Muslim countries, but we also know that those countries enact certain practices where it's a law. And a lot of it has to do with separating the woman from the man. And you even spoke about that before in reference to adultery.
Okay, he's up here.
So that's the only thing that I was asking. So when you talk about
What's up,
moving to the
Smoke?
next
Hold on, y'all.
question,
Hold on, y'all. What's up, Smoke? I appreciate you being in the building. Shout out to you. Everybody,
yeah,
make sure that they hit the like button on the way in, guys. Okay, y'all go ahead and sound off. I'm gonna go ahead and
that's
mute.
what I'm asking. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
about you knowing everything about country, but I know that there's Muslims in America that still practice certain cultures. It's just that in those countries they implement it into actual law. So
Got
in
you.
reference to men and women, why do you think in those type of cultures they separate men from women? Specifically when you practice Islam and they cover the woman
as if, and I could have swore I heard you say this before, Muslim, like, because it helps the men not to be able to react to
Uh,
what they
um,
see.
I understand your question
You
now.
understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying, Muslim,
yeah, yeah,
now?
yeah. Everything
Okay, I'm
is
dropping down. I
separated.
just wanted to make sure you understood what I was saying.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay.
Everything is separated, even in prayer. Like, for example, right? How am I going to focus on praying if I got a woman that's touching me on my side, or she's in front of me bending over? It's like I need to concentrate on my prayer. You know what I'm saying? So everything is separated in Islam. For example, Malcolm X said that if men were to be confined to jail, that they will come out as scholars, meaning that separate men from women. And I say to myself that had I been in an all boys school, I probably would have done much better than being together with different sexes, because I was always looking at that girl, always trying to get with that girl. That's just me. I'm just saying that's just me. Now,
No,
as
I
far
understand
as
what you're
the
saying. Mhm.
now as far as the woman cover up, we say that that's for her benefit, because you see, no one eyes no you don't want a man wanting you for your beauty, because that's artificial. That's going to go away. Your beautiness truly is from in your heart, your soul, who you are, that the soul that's driving your body. If the man likes you for your beauty, then he's going to like the next woman and the next woman and the next woman. And also, a man has an attire too. You don't see it. Like, for example, you see a man, right? Muslim man and a woman. Muslim man, it's 110 degrees outside. He got shorts, he got a blending, a fade, and t-shirts and all that. And she's wearing all black and all covered up. He'll pay for that. She's going to get her blessings. A Muslim man is supposed to wear a beard, is supposed to wear a whole attire, a whole thobe. I used to wear my thobe, my long ass thobe. It's white. We're supposed to wear white. Girls used to make fun of me. They used to be, yo, could I borrow your dress? I'd be like, stop it, girl. This is too loose. You need a tighter one. It's gonna be too loose on you. And they used to laugh at me. We used to laugh about it. But Muslim men are not all, but a majority that you see are not following Islam correct. And what they do is some of them implement it on their wives, and they don't follow it. But that's why the woman will get the blessings and the men won't.
Carrie asked a question, which I think is interesting. She said, it's for her benefit. Then why do they get jailed and murdered if they refuse to hijab?
Now, you got Muslim countries, like you said about Indonesia, that doesn't force that. And then you have other countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran that force it. You see? So
Right. There's
that's
different
just
rules in per country.
yes, you got extremists and you got moderates, and people who are moderate. And in the Quran, God Almighty says that be people of the middle. Don't go far left and don't go far right.
Okay.
I hope I answered that.
Okay. Well,
Thanks, love.
no problem, no problem. I think you did answer her question. She said yes. She said thanks for the clarification. So,
You're welcome, Ice. Thanks for the question.
all right. So I really appreciated y'all kind of clarifying that as well. Because that's kind of a thing, right? Perhaps some of these religious thought processes, and not just with Islam, right? Because actually, Islam is one of the religions that I most respect, right? But because of some of these thought processes, maybe this also could be contributing to some of this deviancy, right? Because, I don't know, maybe, and I'm not a man, so I can't speak for why, the desires of men, the sexual desires of men. But are you saying that women have to cover the blessing is because we're covering so in order to keep other men from looking at us? You see what I'm
No,
saying?
no. What I'm saying is for her own protection. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Meaning
right,
that,
exactly. But
yeah.
the protection itself is because men have this strong desire to just like Samba said, men have this strong desire to be orgasming all the time, and so therefore a woman has to cover up in order to keep a man from desiring her. Is what you're saying?
Not all men, but yeah, like Allah, He says in the Quran, He says, men covet the most in this world. What they love the most
Same as
is
Murph.
woman. Second What they love is children, sons. You know, they want they want a whole basketball team, and then their wealth. So three things: women they love the most, men, uh, sons and daughters, you know, children, and then their wealth. So we love women more than anything in this world.
Right, but you're kind of like dancing around my question. What I'm saying is, if a woman, like, if I in Islam, right? I wore a full hijab when I was practicing Islam. I covered my face with a niqab and everything. Okay. So, but once I got a little bit more of an understanding of it, I felt oppressed. Okay. And the reason I felt oppressed is because I felt like, well, the whole idea of me covering is so other men don't have sexual desires, but they're going to have those desires whether I'm covered or not. You see what I'm saying? Because I still had men coming at me even in my hijab. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't
Yeah,
change
yeah,
any of that.
those are some dogs. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's important for people to separate that, right? And unfortunately that doesn't happen in Islam. We're not separating deviants from actual men. Do you see what I mean? Like, all men don't have these desires. All
No.
men are not looking to rape a female. All men are not looking for the next thing that they can have sex with, right? They're not.
Right.
So why is it that women should have to adjust to the world of men having these deviant desires? Anybody that came up with that idea sounds like they're a deviant to me. Do you see what I'm saying? Because
Okay.
no man in his rational mind would tell his daughters, "Oh, you need to cover up so that a man doesn't touch you." What are you talking
Okay.
about? She should be able to be
Check,
a girl.
check this out. Let's say there's a girl in class, right? And she's got her, you know, she's beautiful. You can see, you know, she doesn't cover up or nothing. She got bosom. She's got a beautiful body. She's gorgeous, right? And she's surrounded by four men, one in the front, one on each side, and one in the back.
Hey,
And
living
the
life.
teacher says, "All right, y'all, pull out your pens," and she doesn't have one. And in 2 seconds, she'll have four pens in her face. Correct? Now I'm asking you, those men, are they interested in her gaining a education, or they just want to get with her?
They probably want to get with her.
Okay. Now, if she's covered up,
But there's nothing wrong with, but see, that's the point though. There's nothing wrong with being desired by somebody. You see what
oh
I'm saying?
yeah,
There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with being beautiful and showing your beauty.
right,
Showing
no,
your
no,
beauty, and hold on, let me finish.
yeah,
Showing your beauty and being beautiful and being admired by men is not the same as being as you know being touched and abused and being groped by a man. That is the difference. A person that is going to grope me has a sickness. A person that's going to be they asked me for their number. Like, this lady got killed the other day for a man asking for her number. She said no. He didn't get killed, but he said no, and he picked up a brick and hit her with it. You see what I'm saying? That is a deviant, right? There's a difference in that. And I don't think any amount of clothing or any amount of covering would stop a deviant from being a deviant, is the point I'm trying to make, right? Like, they're going to
facts,
do that regardless of how many
facts.
clothes I have on. So how is it a protection for me to put on all these clothes? Like I said, I would wear a niqab or everything, right? And I'm still getting niggas coming for me. You understand what I'm saying? They can
Because
still
they're
see
trying
my
to see what's underneath there.
yeah, they want to see what's under there. They want to see my shape. They can see I got a little
Mhm,
ass, you know what I mean, or whatever. They still
mhm.
looking. So it doesn't matter how many amounts of clothes I put on, that's still going to be there. You see what I'm saying? So why is it that that
I
is
could agree with that. I agree. But here, but let me just finish my example. Now,
okay?
let's say that girl, she's covered up, and
Right,
okay,
Joe.
now
That's what I agree with.
pull out your pens now. Now, if a man gives her a pen, you think that he's interested in getting with her, or he kind of does care about her getting her education?
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Okay, I gave you the first example. Now you have the second example. A woman, she's covered up. First of all, she's all covered up. They respect her, right? All right,
Mm.
pull out your pens. She doesn't have one. Now, if a man gives her a pen, you think he's going to try to get her number after that? Or you think he's being polite to her? He wants her to gain an education and he cares about her.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about that, right?
Okay.
Because every man, I guess from your perspective, perhaps, right? Maybe I'd have to hear from a man who's not Muslim, right? Because
Yes.
perhaps a person who's grown up around that and with those ideologies just automatically thinks that way, right? Like, hey, I'm going to have more respect for you if you're covered more, right? If you don't have on this and you don't have on that. And that could go the same with anyone who's not even a Muslim. Women could just be wearing a blazer, with not showing their cleavage or not showing they how big their booty is or whatever the case may be. And, are you saying that a man will have more respect for a woman in that way? That could still be the same way without a woman wearing hijab. You see, I don't have to be wearing hijab. I could be dressed modestly, and a man will still have that same level of respect for me. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I come out with my pussy popping and my titties popping in his face, of course, that's all he's going to see, right? And
Right.
that may be a desire for him. But that doesn't mean I have to fully cover my beautiful hair and cover my face and all this stuff just for a man to not have any desire for me. You see what I'm saying? Because like I said, in me wearing full hijab, I still had niggas coming for me.
Yeah, well, that happens sometimes. Like, look, let me give you one more example, and I don't want to take up too much time. Look, I grew up with dogs. My boys were dogs. They used to get with everything and anything, right? And I remember we were chilling on the corner, and this girl walked by. She was gorgeous, right? And one by one, everybody's jumping in front of her. Let me get with you, yo. What's up? Touching her. She was like, cool out, and she was being nice, like smiling, turning everyone down, nice and all that. And once she ain't try to get no play, they started cursing her out and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes later, a young girl, she was beautiful. I seen her face. She just wearing a hijab and a long thobe. And she walked by, and I'm looking at my boys to see which one of them is going to harass her. And I swear to you, it's as if she was a ghost. Now, I'm pretty sure they looked at her.
Maybe that's your friends, right? And are they
But they were
Muslim?
dogs. They were dogs.
Were they Muslims?
No.
Okay.
Black, Puerto Rican. No.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Well, I don't know, because like I said, I can't speak for that woman and why, but I know for me, I've experienced that. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't any different. It literally is not any different.
Yes,
not.
that happens too. Yep, that happens too. Yeah.
I'm pretty
But,
sure
like,
your wife and others can attest to that, right? Like, just because I'm wearing all these clothes doesn't mean men are not talking to me and trying to holler.
yeah, of course. Yeah, because I said to myself, damn, that girl's beautiful. Imagine what else is beautiful on her. But just like Living Life to the Fullest says, she says, generally men don't approach or, try to kick it to women that are wearing hijab or fully covered up. They give them that respect. But look, if that girl's if she's for game, hey, they're for game too. It's on the woman.
Well, I don't know if I can agree with that, though. Like, I'm having a hard time with that, considering the fact that I've actually experienced it, right? But I will say also that, like, I'm not saying that men were breaking my door down to try to get to me. I'm just saying I got the same amount of attention in hijab that I would in regular clothes.
Because you sexy as hell, girl.
Well, I know that, but I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The point I'm trying to make is this: a lot of times we put these kinds of rules on women, right? Of what we should wear, how we should wear it, what amount of clothing we need to have on, whether we should be wearing short skirts and all this other stuff in order to protect us, quote unquote, from men, right? But really, it's not protecting us from men. It's protecting us from deviance, right? Let's separate the two. You're a man. You're not a deviant, okay? So, or at least that I know of. You're not a deviant, right? But you're still a man. You still have desires, and there's nothing wrong with a man having desires. There's nothing wrong with a man enjoying how a woman looks and admiring a woman's hair, admiring a woman's face. There's nothing wrong with that. It is wrong when a man just thinks it's okay to grope a woman or okay to just, come at a woman because he's a man and she's a woman. That is what's wrong. So no amount of clothing would ever change that. No amount of no matter what I cover, no matter what I do, it is not going to change that at all. It's
Well,
not.
look, check this out. Um, T-Pre. Look, for me personally, right? I started practicing Islam when I was in my mid 20s, right? So
Okay.
okay. So
So you weren't
what?
raised in the religion?
No. The only thing I know about Islam, everyone in my family, the only people who practice Islam in my family when I was growing up was my mom. That's it. Everyone
Okay.
else, we just
So
knew
your
don't
dad
eat pork.
wasn't a Muslim.
He was, but he didn't practice it.
He didn't practice.
Like
Gotcha.
we
Okay.
weren't taught anything.
Okay.
So now, when I used to go out, I was a dog. I used to go out every single day of the week. I had a club to go to and everything. But once I started practicing Islam, right, I grew my beard. I had the kufi on my head, and I used to wear the long thobe. Now, girls used to look at me, but they gave me that first look, not the second one that got me in trouble. You understand? That smile, like, come get my number. I
Right.
wasn't getting that, you know? But as a bail bondsman, I used to meet girls. They sit down, they have to sign and all that stuff. And they noticed that I would just keep looking at them in the eyes. I wouldn't look down at their cleavage or nothing like that. You know what I mean? And, I was kind of intimidated about, wearing the beard and all that stuff. I wasn't comfortable. It was new. I didn't want to go to the store. I didn't want to go nowhere, and I was still intimidated. And my confidence kept growing because one time this one girl said to me, she says, look, I'm not trying to, entice you or anything, but you're a beautiful man. That's exactly what she told me. And it wasn't what I looked like. It was the way I behaved. But the beard helped me because, again, girls will look at me. He's cute, but he looks like my grandfather. That big ass beard. You know what I'm saying? So it was the second look that saved me. And let's say I had muscles, I had a nice body, the thobe will cover. So no woman would want me for what I look like. You understand? If they want me, if a woman was interested in me, she's interested in the real me, not the
All right.
artificial.
Well, I don't know because the picture I saw of you, you're not a bad looking man, right?
No.
So,
Well, that was I just shaved for a wedding.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the point I'm trying to make is, we come up with all these rules and all these regulations on females, in order for us to quote unquote protect ourselves, but really we're not protecting ourselves. We're protecting deviance. Okay, because a woman should be able to freely be herself and walk around on this earth the same way anybody else does, and show her beauty, show her hair, show her face, and so forth, and not be in fear that she's going to be raped because of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like that
Oh,
is the problem.
definitely. Oh,
Like
yeah,
we need to get rid of the deviancy in the world, not the women need to cover more. Because even if a woman covers up, a man is still going to come holler at her. Like, period. It doesn't
yeah,
matter. You know what I'm saying?
that
Even if
happened.
a woman a woman can have on all the clothes in the world, a whole cloak, and jeans and sweatpants. A woman can walk outside with the most fucked up outfit on, and a man is still going to come for her. You understand what I'm
Yep,
saying? So
absolutely.
it's not about us covering, and that is somehow a protection to me. And that's what I got from being in Islam, and I think I was the most turned off by that. Right? Is the fact that in covering all this stuff, it's not changing nothing in the world. You see what I'm saying? It's not changing what's going on around me. This is still happening. I'm still getting the same amount of attention. So
And
um,
you know what's messed up? Not to cut you off, you know what's messed up? After 9/11, Muslim women wearing the hijab were getting it the most. Were
oh
being
yeah.
kidnapped, killed, murdered. I mean,
I'll talk to you about I want to say when Trump was about to come into office, right? Or was it Trump, or it was something going on where they were coming from Muslim women, and that was a big thing. I actually took my hijab off.
yeah, I see. In matters like that, yes, I would say take your hijab off if you're not walking around with a man.
Right.
A woman is not supposed to walk around. A Muslim woman can't walk. Really, is not supposed to go anywhere without a mahram, with a man next to her.
Which is stupid, because I got shit to do. You understand what I'm
No,
saying? Like,
yeah, but here's the
that's
thing:
crazy.
he's going to drive you around. You kick your feet up, go here, go there, go. You order him around.
Like, that honestly sounds like control. Like Nova had brought that up a little bit earlier. Shout out to Nova, because he had said that. He said this sounds like control of women, and that's literally what it does sound like. It feels like that, just simply because, women are human beings. We're adults as well, and we shouldn't have to go through all this stuff, just to go and do normal basic things. At the end of the day, the problem is the deviancy. It's not how women are dressing.
Facts, and but also that could keep you safe.
Right, but keep us safe from who? From the deviants?
From men, from other deviant men.
No, not from men, from deviants.
Yeah, devious
right?
men.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
men who are
separate that.
deviant.
See, we're aware of those things. That's why we got guns. That's why we got, I got guns. You know what I'm saying? We got, mace. We can fight. You know what I'm saying? And these kinds of things. If in the event we actually come across such a serious situation like that, right?
Yeah.
No amount of clothing in the world is going to prevent a man from raping me if that is what's on his mind. Period. No amount of clothing is going to prevent a man from molesting a child, no matter how many clothes they got on.
Yeah, he's sick in the mind. Yeah, also, also, when you see a woman walking down the street by herself, men will harass her. But if she's with another man, she's with another man, they'll just leave her. They'll just overlook.
That's very true. Now that I can say, like,
now,
if I'm with my dude, I have a totally different response, or even with my sons, right? I have a completely different response from men than I would just going in the store by myself or going somewhere by myself. But however, I'm not about to, become a hermit and stay in the crib and never go outside without the assistance of my sons or without the assistance of a man, because there's deviants out here. No, I got some hot steel for them niggas, right? Like, I got something for your ass if you come for me the wrong way. And
this is under that hijab.
Unfortunately, we've had to adjust to that, right? But I don't think putting these rules on women is, or rationalizing the behavior of deviance is somehow a protection for women. I don't think that at all.
I respect you. I respect you. I respect that.
And you said, I think you can care and be polite as man to woman without being a creep. And I agree to that. There's plenty of men who try to talk, try to holler, they speak, and stuff like that. And they're kind. They're not creepish, right?
Definitely.
You might get some hot steel if you become a creep. But at the end of the day, you just being kind and admiring my ass or admiring my face is not going to make me slap you. You see what I'm saying? It's not.
Definitely.
I'm okay with you saying I'm pretty. I'm okay with you saying, hey, pretty, or, what's up, shorty, or something like that. That's fine. As long as you're not being creepy, right?
Facts.
And then,
all right, sis. Let me go.
Well, I appreciate you again. We're about to end the show anyway. Living Life says, eyes. He was very brave to say hello to a pit bull. Well, that was too funny. Girl, what the hell happened with that damn dog? That shit was hilarious, girl. And I thought you was gonna hit me up because I was waiting for you to hit me so we could go over to your dad's restaurant or whatever. But I ain't never heard from you. But either way, child, he said he might give the pencil because he wants to see what's under the covering, and it's still not about her. Be clear. Right. He said, Clark, did you chill out instead? And I said, honestly, Muslim, I get more play from wearing king beautiful dresses than wearing less. It's interesting how men approach you according to the presentation, but they still will holler. Exactly. Like it ain't no problem, right? He said, living life, LOL. You said, generally men don't approach or sit next to you if you're dressed in hijab. I don't know. I didn't experience that. I'll be honest. You said, I've never been approached dressed in a hijab. Okay. I have multiple times. Hey, I'm no joke. You said, good morning, T-Pre in chat. I have neighbors that are Muslim and from Yemen, and the couple has 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. The eldest girl is 17 and 16, and they're not allowed to take pics to show besides the family. That's wild. That's wild. You said living life. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And you know, I really believe, I'm no joke, that a lot of those things and those rules that parents and even the religion itself is placing on women is out of fear of things that they've seen from deviants in the past, right? So this is their way of, quote unquote, protecting their children. But in actuality, it's not really protecting the children. It's just allowing the deviants to continue to go through, and nobody's addressing them. You know what I'm saying? We need to start addressing the sexual deviancy in the world. We need to start addressing sexual deviance and not telling women how we need to adjust to such deviancy, right? Because really, that's kind of what the conversation is going into. And also, even the conversation, taking it back to Carrie and Samba, that's literally what was happening in that situation, where we were rationalizing the behavior of a pedophile. And this is not okay. It's not okay. That's not sexual behavior. That's pedophilia, like, period. You said, yes, that was, you said, what's up, Nova? You said that was because she didn't have any brothers, right? Right. He said they a bit scared and assume you're married. Okay, so perhaps that's in England. You know, maybe that's something I don't know in the UK that they tend to. They're a little bit more conservative over there anyway. But in the US, there'd be a lot of stuff that you see, and you'd be surprised how these niggas act over here, even if a woman is fully covered. You said Muslim man. He will definitely try a covered woman with no problem. So if one Islam man just cover you, will be surprised the play you get. Okay, I'm just saying, you'll be surprised what these niggas do. Like, I'm just saying. He said, stop blaming everything on men, Muz. Just because she got on a hijab don't mean she ain't a freak. And that part as well. Okay. And they be thinking about that shit. You said my neighbor's teenage girls can't go to their friend's house if they have a gathering, if there are boys there, which is nuts. But it probably in the minds of their parents, these are the long traditions that have been passed down over the generations behind fear of deviant men, as opposed to, allowing people to flourish into and develop into the beings that they are. They have to suppress themselves and suppress their artistic ways and different things about themselves. They have to suppress in order to not be raped. Like, let's think about that, in order to not be groped, in order for a man not to touch them. But men are still going to do that anyway. Like, not men, but deviants are still going to do that shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? And that's just sad that some people can't see past that. Living Life says, Clark, okay, that don't happen here. They're afraid of Muslim women, as they know they ain't getting the goods. And here, I'm telling you, men are not the same with that over here. They most definitely are coming for you, regardless of what you're wearing. I'm just saying. He says, stop it, speak easy. I have seen some YouTube videos of Arab women twerking, in their traditional garb. Go look it up. Child, there's porn and everything with Arab women in their hijab, honey. You said eyes. You said they said they don't date or have boyfriends unless he is potential for marriage, which is crazy because at that age, you're not going to tell me that at the age of 16 and 17 that girls don't like boys, right? That they don't want to get to know a boy. They don't want to spend some time with him and find out whether he would be somebody that they would, go through, the rest of their lives with. Or they don't even need to be thinking about that at that time. They just might want to date and enjoy life, right? And enjoy this guy and then go, and date another guy. That don't mean they have to be having sex with them, but they could be enjoying life and getting to know different personalities and getting to know different men. How are you going to know what you're interested in from a husband if you don't spend any time in life actually dating somebody, right? And getting to know people. And that is an age where this happens, Kids are going through high school. They're going through different changes. They're going through various things. And one of those things is sexuality, right? Even if we don't want to think of our kids that way, this is their, you got to allow them to explore who they are, some children realize at that age that they're homosexual, some children realize at that age that they like women, that they like men, or whatever the case may be, and they want to date. That doesn't mean they're having sex, but they're dating. You know, they're getting to know other kids, they're getting to know other people, and you know, and then they can go into adulthood with a healthy mindset of that, you know, and that they're not afraid of men, and that they have to somehow get married in order to be protected, and these kinds of things. It's just not a good look. Just saying. You said because they knew you had money. Okay. He said, what the hell, Muslim? I need an updated pic of you. I'm just saying, right? He said, I heard Muslim looks like the Iron Sheik. He don't. He said, that's the point of the concept of why women wear hijab. The purpose men not have those desires. I mean, they probably wonder in their mind, right? And I get the purpose of it, right? And the point of it. But again, some of these ideas are probably coming from places of trauma, coming from experiences of fear, right? Because of deviancy. Like, why? You know, because no matter what I'm wearing, no matter what I'm doing, those desires are still going to be there from somebody that's a deviant, you know. But somebody who is just looking to get to know me, you know what I mean? Yeah. It might attract a Muslim man to me much faster if I'm wearing hijab, you know what I'm saying? But it's not going to change any man's desire to get to know me, you know, or whatever, you know, based off of how much clothing I have on, at least here in the US. You said, can you admit, Muslim, that is a form of ownership and control of a woman? I agree. I really do. Like, you know, I honestly have to feel that way about that, that it just feels like it's oppressive. And that's exactly why that was one of the reasons why I came out of hijab and never put it back on. But I do respect the religion. Like, there's a lot of practices within the religion that I definitely still practice to this day. You said generally Muslim women don't get sexually assaulted as much as non-Muslims do. That might be over in the UK, but that's not here at all, for sure. For sure. Muslim women get sexually assaulted for the stupidest stuff. You said Muslim women don't party, club, or rave in scanty clothes. They be at home safe. Okay. All right. You said that sounds about right. I'm no joke. Very strict religion. It is. You said, have y'all heard about the Iranian woman athlete? She was climber. Her headscarf came off, and she was ridiculed and detained by the morality police. They forbid that. That's a damn shame, right? And it just came off. You know, it showed her hair. And it's just ridiculous. Yeah. He said arranged marriage. He said eyes also, they gave the right to divorce without their husband's consent, and had right education and the right to work and keep their money, while the father, brother, or husband must take care of them. Okay. I mean, I get it, because, you know, us women, we like to look for protections in certain ways. And perhaps that is a sense of protection, you know, but it takes away a woman's sense of self, you know. It kind of takes away a woman's sense of creativity, you know, and just being herself. She has to constantly be under the eye and hands of some man, you know. I don't know if that's actually okay, you know. You said Muslim, we have problems here with Muslim girls not being allowed to learn to swim. That's crazy. That's crazy. And see, that's a prime example, though, of oppression, you know. Why are we oppressing women in this nature? You know what I mean? But this is crazy. Why wouldn't a woman not be able to know how to swim? He said, living life. Yeah, their mom said she wants to go to college, finish school, and if she wanted to get married, then she will be free, meaning she don't have to worry. I don't get it, which is crazy, which is nuts, right? You said living life to the fullest. Many Muslims don't know Islam. They follow culture more than Islam. Right. And those tend to be culture and part of the culture. And the question is why? You know, why is this culture even in place to begin with? You can say all day it's to protect us, but that's not ain't working in the US. Okay. Maybe over there in the UK, but in the US, that shit ain't working. Okay. You said the Muslims believe they are safeguarding their girls from outside influences. Well, yeah, and see, I can speak to that even with the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Because they also have very similar tactics. Also, the Seventh-day Adventists have very similar tactics down in the witnesses, you don't have to cover your hair unless you're praying in the presence of a man, right? So if you're praying in the presence of one of the elders or something like that, then a woman has to cover her hair. However, and that's not even always practice, because that wasn't something I realized was going on in the organization until I was much older. But yeah, that's the thing in the organization. Also, women are not allowed to wear certain lengths of dresses, right? So you can wear a dress, but your dress has to definitely be a few inches below the knee or longer. So the general practice in the organization is to just wear long dresses, to just wear long ankle skirts and all kinds of stuff. I had all kinds of stuff like that growing up because that was the way we dressed, right? We dressed very modestly as witnesses as well. And their idea of it is for the same reasons, right? To quote unquote protect you and all this stuff. And in actuality, it's not protecting nobody, because them long dresses and all that stuff didn't stop any of them pedophiles from doing what they were doing to these girls in the Kingdom Hall. You know what I'm saying? So, and the boys too, you know. So I get the idea of safeguarding, but that's not a thing. You know, the idea is we need to actually attack the problem, which are the deviants themselves. You said, I'm not saying they don't get abused, just not as much as other women. Well, that's possibly there, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe that is a thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. He said, Muslim, I explained they can wear the full body suit from neck to their knees. Right. He said, but that's the thing, T-Pre. Their mother feels they may be influenced. They don't want their girls to have the thought to act to having sex, which reminds me a lot of the organization, right? These how the organization is reminds me a lot of the same thing. What's up, Samba? Hit that link, girl. Let me go ahead and drop this link for you so you can explain this conversation, girl. But anyway, it reminds me a lot of the organization and how they thought too, right? They had this book out when I was growing up. A lot of y'all witnesses and ex-witnesses probably remember the book. It's called Young People Ask, right? That book had the dumbest, stupidest ideas about what dating should be, what sex should be, and how things should be, and you know how children or teenagers think of these things. I remember getting that book when I was about, I want to say I was 14, maybe a little bit younger when that book came out, right? And I remember having this kind of dumbed down thought process of how things go with relationships and how things go with religion and so forth and so on. Hold on, Samba, 1 second. So how religion and so forth and so on, right? But I particularly remember it being that they had desired to keep children in the organization from being influenced from the outside, right? But little do they know, well, I'll say this. Some of the kids in the organization were homeschooled for that reason. A lot of things that, that they were taught straight and strictly from the organization and strictly from their parents and their families, right? But some of us went to school, right? We went to school. We went and saw our other friends. We listened to outside music. We did all kinds of stuff that would naturally influence us because we were in the world with everybody else, you know? And that, unfortunately, is what I think these children's parents are not seeing past, is that these girls are 16 and 17 and they're about to be in college. They're about to go. She think that they're not going to have desires to drink and do all kinds of stuff in college. They done lost their mind if they think that, okay? Trust me, when your kids go to college, they start doing all kind of shit. You be like, God damn, what the fuck? I thought I was a good mom, right? But anyway, what's up, Samba?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, man? Listen, I was talking earlier in regards to the conversation between you and Carrie'S, right?
Mm-hmm.
From 8 months ago. This conversation disturbed me. And I would like to hear your thought processes on it. What were you thinking? I'll play it again because that way you can get a fresh understanding of where we were coming from. Because I'm having a hard time with rationalizing some of this that was being said. And now that you're here, you can actually speak for yourself, right? So let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm good.
You are?
Mhm.
Okay. I want to make sure that you're good. Hold on one second. Let me look this up again. Because Carrie was talking about a conversation that you and her had about 8 months ago. And what she said was yesterday, she was saying that you were rationalizing
Uh-huh.
pedophilia. Okay.
Okay.
And I wanted to hear that come from you. Like I
Okay.
needed to hear that come from you, right?
Well,
I didn't want to just take
I
her word.
just, I mean, you don't have to play it back because I probably remember the conversation. What were we talking about?
All right. So what y'all were talking, I do want to play it back because
Okay.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let me just add it. Oh, can you hear?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Hold on one second. Let me add it to the show. That way you can hear it. And I'm gonna play it in its entirety, and then I'll let you comment. Okay.
Okay.
He's gonna sign up for a job where he can't get no pussy. Muslim.
No, but here's the thing. What I'm saying to you is look, that could be a small portion of it too. But what I'm saying to you is, I could bet probably majority of these men, if they didn't become priests, they'll get married and have a family.
Oh man, you crazy.
It's because they're taking away from them something
No,
that's
they became
natural.
priests because they didn't want to go get no pussy and get married. It's
I
nothing.
don't
They
know.
wasn't forced to be priests. They didn't want that. Muslim.
I don't know about that. And first of all, why can't they get married? They get married.
Wait.
Because we
Before,
have the question, wanna pay money for it.
wait. Let me add my 2 cents into that.
Oh,
I
go,
think
go,
some of
Samba.
them, I think some of them get into the priesthood, yes, because they already have that sick propensity to fuck with little boys. Yes, I think some of them do. I think some of them may get twisted and they say it's kind of like gay for the stay. You have a lot of guys that go to jail that are not necessarily homosexual, but hey, there's booty here and it just happens to belong to a male. So I'll put my thing in any hole that's available. So I think that may be part of it as well. Then I think there are heterosexual priests that start sexing out nuns. So you have all different
Yeah,
types.
that I think is normal. Wait, let me
They're
ask
not
you
all
this,
the
Samba.
same.
For those men who you say that are like gay for the stay, right? I agree with you on that. Do you think that those same men, if they couldn't get no men, they would start fucking kids, or you think that's something different?
I think if you're around children, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's all you're around are kids and you've got these sexual feelings and you know that these kids are innocent and will do whatever you want them to do, you'll take advantage. That's what I think happens to some of these guys. I don't think that if they could just walk through life or if they
Really?
could have
That's terrifying.
it is terrifying. But that's
Wow.
what
And
I'm
you a
saying.
whole therapist. Yeah. Oh my
Yes, what I'm
God.
saying is, I think because that's what's available for some of them, that's what they go to. Now, if they were able to have wives, able to have sex, they probably wouldn't do it. It's kind of the same gay for the stay type thing.
But I mean, I be horny. I'm celibate. I ain't nothing. Ain't no enough lonely in the world for me to touch no child.
Yeah,
Carrie,
but
wait.
Right.
Hold on. You do not have the sex drive of a male. You
Yes.
cannot understand the
Oh,
sex
okay.
drive of a male. A male for a man, his
Yes.
sex drive is only second to his desire to eat and drink and breathe. That's
So
the
you think
sex
a
drive.
good percentage of men would fuck kids if it wasn't no pussy available?
I'm not saying that they would fuck kids necessarily, but you've had that
Oh
happen
my
through
God.
Carrie, you've had it happen throughout history where
Yeah.
pedophilia was rampant, and it was because children are innocent, they're easy prey, and they're easy to get a nut off into. I'm trying to tell you, it's purely
Oh
biology.
my
It's
God.
not about sexual attraction to children per se. It's about the need for an orgasm.
Oh my
If that's the
God.
only thing that's around them, the little
Yo,
choir
y'all blowing
boys.
my mind.
That's
I mean,
all. That's
so
all that's
so
around
being
them.
a pedophile is not a separate form of sexuality. You saying normal straight men, if pressed, could fuck a child?
No. What I'm just
Oh my
no,
God.
don't generalize it. We're just talking about these priests. We're
I'm
just
just
talking
talking
about
about the priest. I'm not
Yeah,
yeah,
talking
but
about
priests.
everybody.
I think that they was all already perverts, and that's why they became priests in the first place.
Now,
Because
Yes,
now
I
some
that,
think
normal
that's
men.
the case for some of them, but I don't
yeah,
think that's the case for all of them.
So you
right.
think some of them was normal straight men and
Yeah.
just loneliness?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like gay for the state. They were normal straight guys until they
Like
were
it-
surrounded by only men.
No, but a man could consent. A baby is a baby.
Consent doesn't matter. A child will
Oh my
consent. Listen,
God.
Carrie, a child will consent if you tell a child, I'll have candy for you, touch me.
That's
I
not
have candy.
consent. Stop.
Listen, I have candy for you, touch me. I have candy for you. Let me touch you. Let me
Oh
put
my
this.
God, I can't.
This is
too
the
much.
this what I'm telling you.
Okay, so one of the first things, there's men here that have sounded off on this already, but
Mhm.
one of the things that I wanted to particularly ask about was, and
Mhm.
I think we're also all of us have kind of come to a conclusion that I don't think you meant to use the word consent, right? Maybe that was used in poor taste, right?
No, it wasn't. What I
Okay,
said
okay,
what
so
I
go ahead.
said is what I said.
Okay, so you do feel like consent is okay when they offer candy. This
No,
is their
I didn't
consent.
say that. No, that's not what I said. I said consent. What they feel is I can get the consent if I offer something that you'll take. You'll feel like this is okay. And the reason why I know this is because I deal with people who have been through this. They tell me what happened to them, and I hear the same story over and over and over. That goes for victims of pedophilia and pedophiles themselves. That's
Okay,
why I
but
know what I know.
okay. So what you said in the conversation
Mhm.
is that men, you said to Carrie, she doesn't understand the sex drive of a man,
Right.
and that a man's desire is eat, sleep, and sex and orgasm. And
What
the
I
men
said,
in the sector are saying something different.
well, I understand the men in the sector can say something different. I'm going by research, not the men in the sector.
So can you give us the research that you get that from?
If I can get into it to give it to you guys, yes.
Okay, because I would
If
love for you to present that. And I'm not saying that to because I could be wrong. I'm not an expert in the expertise that you are, right? I give
Mhm.
you that. You are a therapist, but I'm concerned about that just based
And
off of
what I want to say is, people are generalizing this to mean that men, because they have, and I get where that logic would come from. Men, because they have this sex drive that is pretty, expansive, that they will mess with little kids if that's what's only around. And what I was saying is, I was speaking about priests in particular in this particular culture. I wasn't talking about men in general. No, because even if you do have an overwhelming sex drive, you can masturbate. You can do a number of things other than be with children. Of course, you have options,
exactly
especially if you're,
health.
someone, right, if you're healthy. But if you're in a situation where you're not healthy, I mean, Carrie was right to some degree. There may be men, and there are, that are brought into the priesthood because they know I don't like women and I will be around children and I
Right,
can take advantage of them. And then some may develop this kind of thing as time goes on because this is what they're surrounded with. And these are the different circumstances that I have heard about. It's not, oh, I'm coming up with this off the top of my head.
right. So the development part. Let's get into that. Okay. Um. Now
No,
you're trying to.
I'm not using Kinsey Outlaw. You don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Um, so let me ask you a question because the development part of it is where I'm also cringing, right? Because if someone so okay, let me just say this. There are hold on, let me grab my laptop charger real quick. But if somebody decides that they want to become a priest, right? They have no sexual deviant issues. They have no issues with children or anything of that nature, right? There's never been a thought in their mind to mess with a child, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they come into the priesthood
Mm-hmm.
and they are deciding at some point that their sex drive is just overwhelming. I can't see where you're saying, and maybe again, this is maybe where your expertise would come in, right? But again, I need to see the research on this. I can't see where a person would then develop a desire to molest.
It's not developing a desire to molest someone. It's the need to get off. And this is
Right.
just
So here's my
right.
question about that.
Mhm.
So here's my question about that, because the need to get off is a normal thing, right? That would
Right.
be a natural feeling.
Right.
But it would not, it would be unnatural for a man to then turn to a child when you've got prostitutes, when you've got strip clubs, when you've
Right.
got nuns, when you've
Right.
got members of this church, when you
Right.
got your right hand, your left hand, your own
Right.
mouth. You got all kinds of ways to get rid of that. So if a person is desiring to molest a child, that
Right.
was a deviance that was within them before they became a priest. You see what I'm
Perhaps
saying?
so. Perhaps so. Yes.
Okay, that's where I'm trying to get to, because I
Because
can't see how anybody would say this is something that developed after they became a priest, because even if the sexual need came after they became a priest, what they're not, for me, right? I'm not going to think about a child. I'm going to think, well, let me go ahead and put my hands to work. I'm going to go ahead and get this man. Hell, I'll go get a woman before I touch a child. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
I
The
do.
idea of a child, the idea of sexual desire of a child would never, ever even come across my mind, period. No matter how much of an extreme situation I'm in, no matter what, if that is coming across my mind, that is a sickness that was there ahead of time.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. I have had people say, I've never thought of children that way before. I feel like I don't know why I did that. I don't know, but they were available. Getting a nun's consent is harder. I'm not going to a strip club. I'm not going to get some sort of prostitute, because that would be stepping outside, quote unquote, my faith. But if it's just kids that are around me, well, these things can happen because it's
Mm-mm.
easier. And this
That
child,
person was a pedo ahead of time.
I'm just telling you, this is what you're saying, and I get that. But this is what people say. I did not have these feelings before. I had these feelings afterward. I felt like these people were available. They were easy. It's the same thing, but they're saying I didn't always have this feeling for children. That's not why I got into the priesthood. What they're saying is, once in the priesthood, having nothing else that's readily available other than my hand, which got boring after a while. I needed to touch flesh. This flesh was around, therefore I used the opportunity. And I know it
Yeah,
doesn't sound right. It doesn't, because what we don't understand is these types of predilections are never going to sound right. They're never going to make sense. It's just the way it is. And it's not the case with all priests. It's not the case with all men that work with children. No, it's the case with some. I'm
right.
not
But
saying
what you
it's
said,
random. Mhm.
what you said was men. You didn't say priests. You didn't say
We were
some priests.
talking about
Hold on, let me finish.
priests.
Let me finish. You didn't say some priests. You didn't say some men. You didn't say predators. You said men have a desire to eat, sleep, and orgasm.
Right.
Like as if men don't have any type of that's just the nature, that's their nature. But
Right.
as if men don't have any type of discipline to them,
Oh
because they
yes.
do.
Sure, sure. Of
And
course they do.
also they have the ability to make rational decisions, right? So
Yes.
even if they're have this strong desire to pump and dump somebody, a mindset of a healthy man is not going to go to the idea of a child. Like that's just it. No, they're
True,
not. No matter what
true.
circumstances they're in. And it's dangerous for us to even rationalize such behavior.
I'm not rationalizing anything. I'm just stating what I have seen. This is I understand when you're speaking to people who are not clinicians, this is an emotional topic. However,
It is.
the context was we were speaking about Islam and women in Islam. So you have to take the context of the situation into account. We weren't just having this conversation, or all men just want to fuck everybody and they don't have any kind of discernment. No, I was speaking about the sex drive as it pertains to this type of thing, not the sex drive in general, that men can't control themselves. That's not what I was saying. We were talking, you have to take the conversation in context.
I listened to the full 5 hours.
Well, I
And
mean, I get, and also T Pre, when we have our own personal thing that's involved in anything dealing with pedophilia, yeah, it's definitely going to be triggering as well.
Well, absolutely, and you're
Yeah,
right about that. You're right, and
yeah,
I wanted that to I wanted to say that too, right? Because I have been and experienced some things, and
yeah,
so perhaps I have a bit of a bias to this stuff. But at the end of the day, I can only be but that, right?
yeah. I
Um,
get it. I totally get it.
right. But let me ask you this because this is a great question. I had this question earlier. Outlaw asked this one. This coming from a man. Okay,
Right.
he said, "Have her break down why women do this."
Oh, why
Because
women?
women also can be pedophiles, right?
Yes,
Women
yes, true,
can be pedophiles against daughter. They can be pedophiles
true,
against girls. They can be pedophiles against boys, right?
true, true.
So where does that desire come from in them? Because there are women that practice this celibacy for particular religious lifestyles as well, right?
Right.
So where does that come in with them? Do they also have this overwhelming desire to orgasm, and so that is the reason why they're touching children?
With women, it's a bit different. And honestly, we see a lot less of that because it's not reported. Usually,
Right.
when it happens with a
Not
girl,
because it don't happen.
yeah, it's not because it doesn't happen. It's usually because it's not reported. Because I will speak to men who tell me, yes, I was touched when I was 8. I had sex for the first time when I was 11 with a 21-year-old and things like that. But because you looked upon as a
H2P.
you looked
I'm sorry, go
upon
ahead.
it you looked upon as being a stud if that happens, so you don't say anything. Although we have a lot of boys who have been assaulted by women. R. Kelly is one of them.
Right.
Yeah,
Hmm. And unfortunately, with his trauma that went un that was never addressed, right? He became exactly what hurt him. You see what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm.
can't. So I believe that that is a thing. I
It
believe
is. Oh
that.
no, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
People,
absolutely.
men who have been sexually assaulted, women who have been sexually assaulted as children, yes, they have more of a likelihood of becoming a predator themselves. Absolutely.
Right, right.
And
Because
no,
we
men,
can't say that, and I'm glad that you cleared that up because it
mm,
sounded like you were saying all men just, because they
no,
have this
no,
high
no,
sex
no,
drive,
no, no,
they
no,
would
no. That
become a
wasn't.
predator if
I
women's
know.
pussy wasn't around. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that that is exactly what you would read from that. I get it, but that's not what I was saying. I was saying men have a high sex drive, and oftentimes when it has to be it has to be stunted. When we're talking about the priesthood, they can't. They're not supposed to have sex, right? Even having sexual feelings is considered a sin. So they're
Right.
ashamed of it, you know? So being
In
that
that lifestyle, yeah.
Right. So being that this is shame based, they're not going to go to a strip club or necessarily solicit a prostitute, not even going up to nuns, because a nun might tell, but a child probably won't, especially if you get that child's trust.
And again, those particular men that you're talking about, I'm
Our
sorry.
priests. I'm
No,
talking about
right. No,
priests. I'm
no,
not
okay,
talking about
okay. So
all men.
those particular priests, right,
Mhm,
that you're talking about,
mhm.
I'm sorry. I will not, and I cannot just dismiss the fact that they had those desires before they became priests.
I guess you're right. And
There's no way that
I think so too.
a rational minded man would like. I get it. The whole idea of oh, this is a sin in God's eyes for me to have sex with a nun. This is a sin for me to go to a strip club. And they don't think it's a sin for them to touch little Johnny's booty. That of course that's a goddamn sin. You see what I'm saying? So
Of
no,
course.
they had that desire and they had that mentality beforehand, and therefore they got into the priesthood probably as an abused child who was whose trauma was never addressed, right?
Right.
And then they went and they took that trauma out on somebody else, and in therapy they're talking to you and they're just giving you more excuses as opposed to saying, hey, I had this problem way ahead of time.
I mean, you
Is
could
that possible?
it is definitely possible. You're right.
Okay.
It is definitely
But that's
possible.
that's the only way I can even wrap my head around this. I can't
Mhm.
wrap my head around this idea of this developed after they became a priest, and now because of all these ideas of what the church puts on them, they ain't got no problem smoking those cigarettes. I mean, we know Catholics smoke cigarettes anyway. they ain't got no problem, with anything else. I can't see how becoming a predator is even something that comes into their mind. No, that was already there. That desire was already there. And I have to say, even the same thing about men in jail, right? Now, I talked to some of the men here. I had Muslim on the panel. I had speakeasy, a couple other people. I asked them, if you went to jail as a heterosexual man, now I hear what you're saying. As a therapist, you have spoken with people, and these are things that they have said to you, right?
Yeah.
But as a heterosexual man, okay, being heterosexual is not going to change just because they have a desire for sex. You see what I'm saying? They're not about
T-Pre, what you don't understand is that's not true.
Well, hold on, let me finish. You didn't let me finish to know what's true or not.
All right, it's not true though. Go ahead.
Well, what was I about to say since it's not true?
Being heterosexual. Go ahead. No, I want you to finish.
Okay. What I was going to say is a heterosexual man sleeps with women, right? They sleep with the opposite sex, okay? This is just a desire that they've had. This is something that they've always been. They knew that as a teenager, as a young boy, whatever. They knew they liked girls, okay? They grew up this way. They were sleeping with women. They got married, had children, whatever the case may be. Go to jail, okay? And they still desire women, right? They're not going to start desiring men because men are in their proximity, okay? But they might do other things to, because that woman isn't there. They might start fucking one of the guards, right? They might start masturbating much more. They might start, whatever they might do, but it ain't going to be, they just going to start dicking some nigga down all of a sudden because, they don't have, anything else available to them. That would have had to been a desire that was already there previous to them going to jail.
Okay. I mean, you can think that.
I mean, you don't think that?
What I think is that sexuality is on a continuum. So you may be right. Perhaps there are some bisexual tendencies there. However, the men that I have spoken to said, I close my eyes and imagine a woman. So yes, I'm feeling the sensation of a man, his anus or his mouth or his hands, but I'm imagining my woman. And then I can go look at porn or whatever, females on porn, or I can have a conjugal, and that'll make me feel like, okay, I'm back to being a man again. I just had to get that off. That's what somebody told me almost verbatim.
Okay, so that was one person that said that, or you've heard this from multiple people?
I've heard this from multiple people. This is very extensive in corrections. It's just that it's not talked about.
Right, but it also let's be real, right? A lot of men who are on the down low just simply don't want to talk about their sexuality on that side. They don't want to talk about being bisexual. It's taboo to them. It's something they don't want to address, right? It's something that some of them are even ashamed of and don't want to speak about. And so if they start talking about it, they have to kind of separate themselves from reality. You know what I'm saying? And saying, hey, that isn't my real feelings. You know what I mean? I really wanted a woman, but I did this only because there was no other woman there. No, sir, you was already bisexual before that. You just weren't in touch with your feelings. You hadn't tapped in to that side. You hadn't come out to nobody, but that was always there. Like, bruh.
I guess I would believe that if they had those types of relationships outside of corrections, because
not necessarily though. There's plenty of men that suppress such feelings of such. There's women that do it too, right?
Yeah,
that really want to be, or really have a desire or sexual desire for the opposite sex, but that doesn't mean they want to be with them. That doesn't mean they actually want to be involved, right? But they have a sexual desire for it. They might even watch same-sex porn, right? Or something of that nature, but that doesn't mean they would ever go out and actually have sex with somebody in the same, of the same, unless they were in a situation like jail, right? If they were in jail, then yeah, it would be much easier for them to practice such behavior and then still rationalize it with, oh, well, I was thinking about my girl. Yeah, you probably were, but you were also thinking about that man. Because
that's the thing. We can't tell people what they're thinking about and what they feel. We can say what we think they feel or what we think.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
I'm using a poor choice of words, but that's what I'm doing.
No, I get that. And you're entitled to that. I just don't agree.
Okay. I'd like to see like any research on that because again, like I said, a lot of times in the human psyche is strange, right? A lot of times
Yeah.
we will say we feel a certain way when really we don't. We know that deep down this is what we really feel, but in order to save face, quote unquote, we keep saying this. There's different reasons for that. Different people have different backgrounds. They've experienced, religious backgrounds and so forth that would cause them not to open up to certain behavior or cause them not to open up and speak on certain desires, right? But they'll still carry those things out behind closed doors. And, if they have to talk about it one day, they would rationalize it with that type of answer. That's
Again,
my thoughts on it.
yeah, I get you. Sexuality is on a continuum. That's what we know in research.
Okay.
It's not
Let me
black
go
and
ahead
white.
and read some of the comments here. Miss Murphy said, tapping back in, is there a heterosexual man in the chat willing to go on the panel to give their knowledge, experience, opinion, or did I miss it? Well, they did. A Muslim had given his opinion on that. Any other man is welcome to come up as well if they have time or if they'd like to. But yeah, I definitely am listening. I think this is a great conversation now.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And I'm glad you were able to give at least your point of view on it. I can't agree with it, but I do hear your point of view, right? And I think you understand where I would come to
Absolutely.
the conclusion I did, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. They're hiding and no one turning Mr. Gay, right? Facts. You said, I know plenty of people that did time in jail and prison, and none of them have ever told me this. Me
And
too.
they never would.
And they probably never would either. But
Exactly.
if
So I
they
don't know
did,
what you're talking
but
about.
if they did though, right?
Mhm.
If they were in that thought process, I would have to tend to believing that this is where they are.
Hold on, Miss T. Pre.
Yeah.
Eyes, I'm not telling you that you can't interpret and think what you perceive with your own logic. I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying I don't agree. That's it. I'm not invalidating anyone. I'm not invalidating anyone. I don't agree with you. Not
Right.
agreeing with
Yeah. Well,
someone.
what she's saying though,
You can interpret and think and perceive with your own logic. Yes, absolutely, you can. And I can disagree with your interpretation, what you think and what you perceive with your own logic. That's all.
Right. But what she's trying to say is, because we're not clinicians, we can't come to, a
I just said you could come to your own logical conclusions and I can disagree.
Okay.
That's all.
You said, oh wait, let me go back to this one. You said, okay, we all fantasize. What does that have to do? What does that have to with having intercourse with the same sex? You know what you're doing and feeling. Right. It's kind of, to me, I could never personally see myself having sex with a female, right? I can't see that. I've never had the desire to do that. Mm-hmm. I've never had any kind of desires for that or anything. And so if I was in jail, I still can't see a bitch between my legs. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just not happening because I'm not interested in that.
Right.
I'm just not. It's not happening, no matter how much time I spend in there, period.
Right.
You said they are bisexual or gay and hiding. That's why they marry to hide, right? And they also marry to suppress it, Yeah,
that's true too.
Let's talk about this stuff, you know what I mean? Because I know this happens, right? I know, like, even in the Jehovah's Witness organization, it is an absolute abomination to be gay, no matter what side of the fence you're on, right?
Absolutely.
No
I'm speaking to a Mormon now who's gay and can't come out. Yeah.
And I can imagine how they feel, right?
Yeah, terrible.
And so that in itself is understanding of how the human mind will develop ways to cope with that, right?
This is true.
So they'll do things like, okay, let me just try. And even in some of their minds, they're trying to rationalize being gay as an actual sin, right? So they're like, oh, I'm really wrong. I'm really bad. I'm really a bad person. And so I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to go and get married and have 10 children because that's going to sleep the gay out of me, right? Or that's going to take the gay out of me or whatever the case may be. And it turns out they still have those desires, right? Well, yeah, I think that's what's kind of going on. And like I said, I could be wrong, but I have a hard time believing that somebody developed that later. That is something that you desired but you weren't able to experience, you weren't able to express, right? You weren't able to experience without judgment, or until you were actually in that situation where you know, your desire took over, right?
Right.
But that's different with men, you know.
I get it. I get that. And see, eyes, you said, well, what makes you think, what makes you right then? If we can agree, I just said we can agree and disagree. I never said, oh, I'm right, do it my way. I just said I don't agree. What's wrong with that? I don't agree in accordance to what I know. I can do that. This is not group think here. I'm
No, it's
entitled
not.
to
It's
to
not
the
group
way,
thinking.
exactly. I'm entitled to the way I view things. If all of you disagree, I will still hold fast to what I say, because I'm not influenced by sector opinions. I respect them, but I'm not influenced by them.
Okay, so you're not saying that. I think what you're saying is you're not saying you're right and that we're wrong. You're just saying you just disagree.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So why are you trying to take it
And I
somewhere
have
else?
too, Tiff, and Tiff P. I have as well. I've heard men who self-identify as completely
Yes,
heterosexual and then have acknowledged having same-sex activities, but just because
absolutely.
they identify, like for instance, there was a man the other day that was being dragged for identifying as a Black lesbian woman, but he's a white man.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So just
Yeah.
because somebody identifies as something doesn't mean that's actually what's going on, right?
I don't, guys, I don't know what Wally's assumed data and research would need to be. I don't know what that means.
Okay, let me read the whole comment. You said, so what makes you right then? If we can agree and disagree, just curious. I think you said, I was assuming data and research would need to be
No,
presented.
and also let me say this: you are going on a live stream that was done about 8 months ago. If you want me to present all the evidence that makes me right, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do that. I know what I know, and I don't have to prove it to anyone here. I'm in this field, so I don't feel the need to have to defend what I'm saying. I don't even feel the need to explain it. I'm only explaining it because I choose to.
Right. Well, keep in mind, you know, you're not the only therapist in this.
No, I'm not, and I honestly don't
Hold
care
on, let me
whether I
finish.
am or
Let me
not.
finish. Let me finish. And I'll let you talk. You're not the only one that's a therapist in the sector. Actually,
Yeah.
Darrell was talking about this earlier as well, right?
Okay.
And he had some opinions on this as well. And so again, it's when you're talking about this from a clinical standpoint, it is kind of important to give us some research on that, right?
Well,
It's not
I
because,
think, okay, you think it's
and
important.
again, I'm
I
not
don't.
asking
Hold
you,
on.
hold on, let me finish, because I'm not asking you to present research to me. But what you can do is point me in the right direction, right? You could say, hey, this is where I got this from, or this is where this comes from. You know what I'm saying? Because that would give us an understanding of where you're coming from. This is not to argue with you. This is not to fight with you. And I think sometimes that gets lost in the sauce when people are talking to each other, right? We're
Yeah,
not
it does.
trying to argue and fight with you. I'm trying to get an understanding of your thought process, right?
I understand what you're saying, but this sector can be very aggressive if you
And
have
it can.
a
It
stance
can.
that
You're
stands
right.
against them. So what
You're
makes
right.
you think you right then? That's a bit, in your face.
Okay, so if we said it in the sense of like, okay, Muslims here, so if we said it in the sense of, and I don't want to say what makes you think you're right. I
Yeah,
don't want to say
I
that.
don't like that either. When you come at me like that, you think I'm going to be nice? No, I'm not.
Well, okay, so just out of curiosity, I would love to see some data or research on that. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think maybe those wordings might be a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, that
What's up,
wording
Muslim?
it's respectful.
Hey, what's up, y'all? She just said she wanted a man to come up here. The question that I was asked, Samba, was if I was given life in jail, would I look towards a man and stuff like that to get off? And I said, nah, I'll look towards my right hand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you
Right.
see, here's what I believe. I believe that if a man touches a child, he dies. If a man rapes a woman, dies. These are my thoughts. This is what I believe. Now, can this be said for all men? If they go to jail and they're heterosexual, that they will believe as I believe or act as I act?
No, because you're coming from a healthy man's standpoint, right? A mindset that's healthy. And again, there's a total difference in being bisexual and being a pedophile. Those are two different things. That a bisexual man is not unhealthy. You see what I mean? As opposed to a heterosexual is not unhealthy. A homosexual is not unhealthy. A pedophile is a very unhealthy person. So that person and their desire to touch a child is unhealthy in itself, as opposed to, a man. It's not the same. It's not it's like apples to oranges, comparing those two. You see, like a man's desire to sleep with a man in jail is not the same thing as a priest sleeping with a child.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah. No, I wasn't coming about. I no, I was just saying, what could that change? Possibly change with just not with the child. I'm saying just a man on man. That's what I was asking.
Well, that's what we're asking you as a man, right? Because
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
an
yeah.
actual man and you're a heterosexual man and you've never had the desire to sleep with a man. In your mind, you have never had that desire, right?
Never.
So the bottom line is it's never going to come across your mind to fuck some man. Like, period. It's just not. It's just not going to happen.
Right. But what I'm saying to her, I'm asking her, does she believe that that can change over time? Me being there 25 years, could that change or not? I'm just asking her a general question. That's
Could you
all.
be like, in other words, can you become gay within 25 years?
Yeah, yeah. In other words, yeah,
Does does,
something like that.
does sexual does sexual desire of the same sex, could that develop as you get older?
Yes, that's what I'm asking
That's
her.
a good question. I don't know if Samba, you still here?
I'm still here. Could you see that's the whole thing? Could you become gay? And I think that's the operative thing here. It's like these particular individuals do not feel they quote unquote became gay. I know it's hard to understand because just everyone sees you're either gay or you're straight. And what I'm saying is sexuality is on a continuum. It's dependent, it's subjective, it's not objective. That's what I mean. So if you do have some
But
sort of relations with a man, that doesn't mean, okay, now I'm gay. That's just not how it works. You can still have heterosexual feelings, but you just need to get off this biological thing. Um, but still very much enjoy women if you could have them. That's what I've been told. And the speakeasy, I understand that there are people in the chat who also have therapists in their family, right? But having a therapist in your family or a friend in your family is not being a therapist yourself. It's not having done the research yourself. I don't have a monopoly on anything. I can say I stand by what I say. I don't have to be like, oh, well, you don't agree with me. You're not a therapist. You don't know better. No, I'm saying you can have your own thoughts. This is what I don't like about Black folks. The minute you say, well, I know something and you don't have that knowledge of it, it's like, oh, well, you think you this. No, I don't.
I don't think it's a Black people thing. I think we're just, we're
I do think
discussing
it's a
this
Black
with you.
people thing. I
All right.
honestly
Well, hold
do.
on. Let me say something. I think what we're doing, Samba, is we're discussing this with you because it's something that you presented, right? And we're
Yeah.
trying to ask you to give us some understanding of it, right?
I'm
And it
sorry.
might sound like it might
I'm
sound
sorry.
like. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, I'm sorry. I'm not doing the job you guys want me to do with that. But honestly, I'm
No, you're doing fine. I think
mm,
you're doing fine. I think you're doing fine. I just think that it's a tough conversation. You see
yeah.
what I'm
And
saying?
because this topic is tough, and I'm saying no, it's not necessarily what you think. Everybody's like, oh no, you must. And it's like I get it. I get everybody's emotional, but yeah, I don't subscribe to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, people don't like they want me to be Miss Nicey or whatever, and whatever I said,
No, I
people
don't
don't.
even think it's people want you to be Miss Nicey. I think the same way that you are expecting you to have your own thought process is the same way we are.
Yeah, but I'm being questioned. I'm not questioning anybody else.
No, I agree. I agree.
So,
I
what I'm
agree.
saying? I'm not questioning other people and the way they view things. Everybody's kind of coming at me like, well, you said this 8 months ago. Explain yourself. I'm explaining myself because I choose to, but I'm not going to be pressured to do a goddamn thing. But
And you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to. I don't want you to feel like I'm coming at you that way. I'm just
No, I
asking,
know you're not. You're not.
you
You're
know.
not.
And and I don't think that even the loungers are doing that. I think that they're just asking,
Mhm.
because of
A
the
couple
way
of
that
them
the
are.
conversation.
Everyone to some degree is sexually fluid. Eyes.
Child. Yeah, stay calm, son, but we got you over here. Okay, we cooking out
I
here. We
am.
cooking.
Y'all better stop asking aggressive questions. I'm
He
gonna
said, living
cuss
life
you
to
the
the
fuck
fullest, Miss
out.
Murph, not even castration, must die. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's cool to be out here doing this kind of shit.
Yeah,
Like,
black folks like you, Eyes.
Eyes, you can hit the panel if you want. If you're welcome to come up here. I don't want
Not,
y'all arguing, but I think
not,
that I would like to hear y'all talk, and sometimes, and you know this, Samba, sometimes text in the chat comes off like they're being rude and disrespectful, and they're
yeah,
not.
it does.
You've told me that.
Yeah,
You've had to
it can.
redirect me with that.
It can. Yeah, look, guys, watch the way you write because the way you write can be taken wrong. If you mean it to be disrespectful, cool, I'll come at you with disrespect. But if you don't, please phrase correctly.
Yeah. And the sector, we are a tough crowd. We're gonna ask the hard questions and stuff like that.
And
But I think you
that's
did a good
cool.
job answering them. I do. I think you did a decent job answering those questions. You
No,
said,
it's not that black folks can't critically think on these topics. It's that I think black folks sometimes we have a certain way of viewing things as a culture, and when you kind of step outside that, because yes, what I'm talking about is definitely research that's been done by a number of people, mostly men, yes, and mostly white. So yeah, it's going to be viewed as different, and it's different culturally depending on who you're talking to. Like if I talk to an African versus if talking to someone who's a WASP here in the United States versus speaking to someone who a Somali girl who's over in Canada. They're all going to have different experiences as it pertains to their background, their temperament, their genetics. All of this is individual. So we can't make blanket statements. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, I agree. I also think that, hold on, I think Muslim. Okay, Muslim. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming up. I also think that with the critical thinking part, right? Sometimes when we start critically thinking and we ask critical questions, it may seem like we're attacking you. I felt that way myself, so I understand what you're saying. Um, but I think that when you present something, you got to be able to back it up.
No, actually, I don't, T-Pre. I can back it up if I want to. See,
No, let me
that's
finish. Let me finish because I
uh-huh.
wasn't talking about you in
Okay.
particular. But I'll say this. I'll change my wording. When we present things to one another as fact, we should be able to back up those facts, right? It's
Right.
not that we have to.
Right.
This isn't a matter of we're not slaves. None of we have been freed, right? We
Right.
don't have to do these things.
Right.
But if we're choosing to engage in conversation with each other, and I'm presenting to you some facts or what I believe are facts, then I should be able to back those things up. And if I'm asking or if I'm asked for that information, then it shouldn't be a problem for me to just say, well, here, this is where you can find this, right?
And yes, and I'm glad you said that. You should do all those things, but I'm not going to.
Okay. Well, you're entitled to that. You're entitled to that. And like she says it's no argument and it's just her opinion. She's just asking. And then Muslim, you agree. You said, treat my opinion like it's coming from a white man.
I'm sorry. I don't
That's an inside joke. That was something Alan said the other day. Shout out to
I know. I'm a white man. Treat me like I'm a white man. I was gonna say I don't subscribe to Alan's shit.
And then you said she had to clarify her words from 8 months ago. So saying black people like me eyes is her opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
It is. Well, listen, y'all. I appreciate you coming up here and giving your side of that conversation. Again, I don't agree with you, right? I definitely think that we cannot put pedophilia into the same category as normal human
Oh
sexuality.
no, I never said that.
Right. I didn't say you did, but
Okay, but don't say I don't agree with you and then say I don't think we can
well,
put.
I didn't get to finish.
Okay, please, yeah, finish that.
Um, but I also can understand from a clinician's point of view, where if you are speaking to people, right, if you're getting clients that actually talk to you about these types of things, right, I can understand where you can develop a mindset of such. I can understand where, like, your mind is expanded to these ideas, right? Your mind is expanded to certain things because of things that you've experienced. I get that because I haven't experienced those things. I've only experienced being a victim, right? And so therefore, I can only see things from that point of view. It's hard for me to see and rationalize any kind of behavior like that. Not that you're even rationalizing it, but that's the way it appears to a person like myself. You
I
know?
get it.
Okay. All right. Well, I love you, girl.
Love
And
you
I hope
too.
you're taking care of yourself.
Yes,
And
I know everyone thinks I'm unhinged. I did that to Darrell.
I don't
Well,
listen.
I just want to say this. I did what I
Okay.
did to Darrell on purpose. I do think he's a conversational narcissist. I
What
think
is that?
a conversational narcissist is someone in every conversation, they turn it back to themselves. He's not the only one in this sector. He's only one of them that does that. There are other people. You talk about any topic, and yeah, I remember when I this and that, and we're not even talking about that person. It happens all the time. If you just pay attention, you'll know who I'm talking about. You'll know the who's plural that I'm talking about.
So with the Darrell situation, right? And I think where this was coming from is a little bit different. And I just like to talk about this just for a second. Okay. I'm not telling you how to feel or any of that, but I am going to say this.
Yeah.
The reason why I believe that when y'all were talking about because there was, he didn't come up there originally talking about that, but when y'all were talking about that situation, you know, who else is he supposed to talk about? Because he is the one that actually experienced these things with her. You see what I'm saying? It's not like he's just talking about himself. He literally experienced these things with her. Okay.
Yeah.
And so therefore, he can only tell you his experiences. He can only come from a perspective of himself. I don't think that's
I didn't want to hear.
narcissistic. I think that's literally his experience.
No, Darrell is narcissistic most of the time, and not just during that conversation. That's just his way.
Well, even you have pushed back on using the word narcissism, right?
No, well, I said
Without an actual.
T-Pre.
Go ahead.
I said narcissistic. It's an adjective. Okay. It's not saying that a person has the disorder. I never said he has narcissistic personality disorder. I can say that I feel depressed today. That doesn't mean I have clinical depression. You guys are so used to the psychobabble of narcissism, you don't know one from the other.
Well, I'm looking it up. So you're saying narcissistic.
He's narcissistic. He doesn't have the disorder. He does not have all the 5 of the 9 characteristics that would make him a narcissist. He has some of those traits which makes him narcissistic. Many of us are narcissistic. I'm narcissistic. T-Pre, you're narcissistic. Anybody who can come up and say, listen to me, because what I say means something. You got to have a little bit of grandiosity to do that, because why should I listen to you? You think that what you have is something that people want to listen to. Right. It takes that, you know, we applaud narcissists in this society when we don't even realize it. We malign them on one end, but we applaud them on another. Darrell has gone on to become a major CEO of his own company. A lot of CEOs are narcissistic because they have to step on next to some degree to get where they get to. It's a
okay. So I'd like to.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
It's a means justifies the end personality, and it's also the inability to see the things that you have done to contribute to a problem as well, and putting them all off on another person. So that's what I see, and I will continue to see that.
Okay. So so I'm looking at the definition of narcissism, okay? And it says narcissism is a personality style that involves excessive self-involvement and a
Mhm.
preoccupation with one's own needs.
Mhm.
People with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, have
Mhm.
a pattern of self-centered,
Mhm.
arrogant thinking and
Mhm.
behavior. They
Mhm.
may have an inflated sense of self-importance, a
Mhm.
constant need for admiration, and
Mhm.
a lack of empathy for others. They may
Mhm.
also have a tendency to take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. Some
Mhm.
signs that someone may have narcissistic traits
Mhm.
include manipulating others,
Mhm.
having control issues,
Mhm.
craving constant attention,
Mhm.
struggling with criticism,
Mhm.
struggling with empathy,
Mhm.
struggling to connect with others,
Mhm.
struggling with intimacy,
Mhm.
often feeling jealous. People with
Mhm.
NPD may also be described as cocky,
Mhm.
manipulative,
Mhm.
selfish,
Mhm.
patronizing, and
Mhm.
demanding.
There
They
you go.
may they may follow the same pattern in relationships,
Mhm.
idealize, devalue, or discard. Now,
Amen.
the
Yep, that's
reason,
it.
hold on, let me finish because I listened to you. The
Mhm. Go
reason
ahead.
why I read that in its entirety is
Mhm.
because at one time you had said, in order for someone to be considered have narcissistic personality disorder,
Right.
they have to be diagnosed with such. You
Right.
have to go through like actual, clinical interviews with this person. You have to, speak with them over an extended period of time in order to get and come to that conclusion. That's
Mhm.
not something that you would just talk to them for an hour and you
Right.
figure out that they have narcissistic personality disorder.
That's
Also,
right.
you said, also you said that narcissist and narcissistic personality disorder are separate. They're not the same, but they're all in this, it's all in the same definition.
You
So
can
I'm trying
have
to figure out,
narcissistic traits without
right,
having
in
the
order
full
to
on.
have, right, but the narcissistic traits,
Right.
right,
Mhm.
fall under NPD. That's
Yes, they
how
do.
you know
Mhm.
someone has NPD, is if these traits are there,
Right.
right?
If
Now,
they, no, 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 no. You gotta make that straight now, T3. That's
okay,
not true.
okay,
You have to have 5 of the 9. Are you looking in the
right.
DSM-5?
No, see, that's what I was about to say, because you and Darrell have both made that clear that there has to be at least 5 of those, and
Right.
this is after you have spent a
Right.
great deal of time with this
Yes.
person, and
Yes.
you have also put them up on, certain clinical testing,
Yes.
certain scales and different things
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
That is how you come to this conclusion. So
No,
for you to
no.
say,
No, no,
hold on,
no,
let
no,
me
no.
finish.
Oh, wait.
Let
You
me
about
finish.
to
Let me finish. Let
you
me
about
finish.
to go somewhere that you don't need to go. No,
But
T3.
you're not. But you got to allow people to talk.
Because you're not letting me clarify. You're trying to take this
I
somewhere
didn't
else.
even get a chance to finish
But I
saying what I
already
needed
know
to
where you're
say.
going. I
You don't.
already know what.
You don't know
Okay,
what
go
I'm
ahead.
going.
Go
Where
ahead.
I'm
Go
going.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So what you said, what you're doing is you're
Yeah.
in a sense, and in all actuality, you are diagnosing him with
No, I'm not.
narcissistic
No,
personality
I'm not.
disorder, and
No,
you're
I'm
not able
not.
to do that.
No, I'm not. See, I
But
knew
you
you
just
were
said
going.
he's
No,
narcissistic.
I said he has narcissistic traits. That
Those
means
narcissistic traits would have to
T3,
come,
can I
and you would
finish?
only no.
You're
You would
talking over
only
me.
be able to
You're
develop
talking
and
over me.
know those that he has narcissistic traits if you've actually clinically interviewed him,
No,
and you have not.
no, 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 no. That is not
You
true.
have to.
No, no,
Okay.
that is not true.
Well, you're welcome to say it's not true,
I
but that's
know
what you're
it's
doing.
not true, T3, because I know and you don't. Can I tell you what I know?
So I don't know because I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying
gonna
it,
tell.
or because I'm
No,
not a
you don't
clinician.
know. That yes, because you're speaking about a clinical thing and you don't know what I'm even saying.
Thank you, Eyes, for the super chat. I appreciate that, sis.
Can I
Go ahead.
clarify?
Mhm.
You can say that a person has narcissistic traits. They can have 1 or 2. They can have all the way up to 4 of them without being able to be diagnosed with the disorder. There are many women who come to therapy who have a narcissistic husband. He's never been diagnosed. She's not a diagnostician, but you know narcissistic traits when you see them, T-Pre. They don't have to be clinically diagnosed. I was not giving D. Durrell a clinical diagnosis. I was giving him a character assassination. difference.
Okay, well, we can agree to disagree on that, but
Yeah,
most
we will.
definitely,
Yeah.
it sounds like you are.
Well, it's not. That's not true. It can sound
You
like
gotta
what
let me talk. You gotta
it's
let
not
me
what I'm
talk.
doing. Yeah, you can do
Okay.
it, but you I don't like the fact that you're telling me that I'm saying he has narcissistic
Well,
personality
you're
disorder.
entitled to not like it, but
But
I'm
that's
still
not
gonna
true.
talk
But
though.
that's not what I did. And I know you fly for D. Darrell, and that's fine. But he is
Listen, I'm going
narcissistic.
to talk, Samba.
Go ahead,
Okay,
you can talk. I disagree. So
that doesn't mean I dislike you. I'm just
I
talking.
hear you. I hear you. But I'm still keep saying he has narcissistic traits, and you can keep on
Right, you're
disagreeing.
welcome to say that, but I'm letting you know what you're doing. You're
No, you
diagnosing
can
it.
let me know what you think I'm doing. I'm not
Well,
diagnosing
you're
anything.
diagnosing.
No, I'm not. You don't
Okay.
know what diagnosing is, T-Pre.
Oh well, let's look that up. Let's look up a diagnosis.
Yeah,
How to
look up what
diagnose?
diagnosing is, since you think you know.
Okay. So a diagnosis is the identification of the nature of an illness or other problem by examination of the symptoms. That's exactly what a diagnosis is.
Yeah, it's a diagnosis. And I told you what the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder is. Did I say
You
he has
did.
did
And
I
that's
say
exactly
did
what
I
I
say
said
he
you're
has
doing.
5 of the 9 of the characteristics? Did I say
No,
that?
but
No,
you're
I didn't. Therefore, I
exactly.
didn't diagnose him, period.
Samba, I'm not going to let you talk over me. Listen to
Well,
me. You're
that's
right.
what I did.
You did not say that he has 5 of them, right?
Right.
Which would
Therefore, I didn't
mean,
diagnose him.
let me finish,
You're
which
wrong.
would
I didn't
mean, and
diagnose him.
but you don't know if I'm wrong if I can't finish.
Well, you can
Which
keep
would
your.
mean that
Mhm.
if you are able to say he is narcissistic, then you would have to have 5 things in order to say
No,
he's
that's not
narcissistic,
true
and you
either.
don't.
That's
So
not
there,
true either.
but
No, therefore,
you're
you're
okay.
wrong.
Listen,
If
I
he
gotta
has,
mute you for a second because you're not listening to me. What I'm telling you is a diagnosis is the process of this the identification of the nature of an illness or other problem by examination of the symptoms. You've taken one symptom or 2 symptoms and claimed he is diagnosed with narcissism. That is what you said. Even though you're not using the words, I am diagnosing you with narcissistic personality disorder, you are literally taking 1 or 2 things off that list and saying he is narcissistic. And I stand by it. Okay, you're right. You're entitled to stand by that based off of what you feel from a clinician, right? That is a diagnosis, no matter what you want to say or not, because you're putting an actual term on it. You're not just saying, oh, Darrell is struggling with criticism, or Darrell is manipulative, or Darrell has control issues. You use the word narcissist and then turn around and jump on the Secktah for doing the same exact thing. That's all I'm saying to you. All right. So I hope you heard me, before you jumped off, but I wanted you to understand that what you are doing is exactly that. You are diagnosing Darrell with narcissistic personality disorder when you're saying he's a narcissist simply because he disagrees with you, or simply because he gives you a different point of view, or simply because he's telling you a perspective of a situation based off of his experience with that situation. He can't tell you what my experience is with that situation. He can't tell you what your experience is with that situation. He can't tell you what I's experience is with that situation. He can't tell you what living life's experience is with that situation. He can only tell you his experience. So that doesn't mean he's coming from a selfish perspective. This is his experience. This is something he went through with anti-Afro Svengali, okay? And everybody knows that. I know it. Others have experienced the same things with her. And so therefore we can relate to him. Because you can't relate to him, or because you're choosing not to relate to him, is your choice, okay? But that does not give you the right as a therapist to then turn around and use your clinical experience or your clinical expertise to then turn around and give him what you have called a diagnosis, which is narcissistic personality disorder. That is an actual diagnosis that has to be diagnosed over a period of time through various testing. We know that's true. Okay, whether you want it to be that, whether you don't like it, whether you don't want that pushback, or not. So the bottom line is you are actually doing that, ma'am. Okay, whether it's agreed upon, whether you're mad about it, whether you scream and yell and tell us how wrong we are, this is what you're doing. And that is dangerous, ma'am. Okay, it is. I also, going back to what I was saying in regards to the whole thing about pedophiles, right? It is extremely dangerous as well for us to rationalize the behavior of a pedophile. Bottom line, okay? Yes, just because I have been a victim of such behavior doesn't mean I don't know how to actually notice it, right? I don't know how to, to separate the two, because I absolutely do. I don't think every single thing that's going on is pedophilistic, right? I don't think everything that happens with a man or with a child, is possibly a pedophile. I don't think that. As a matter of fact, I've done some extensive work to make sure I'm not thinking that way, right? I have sons, I have daughters, and, I don't want to dump that type of stuff onto them, okay? So I absolutely have done that work, and I still do that work even to this day, right? But what I refuse to do is just make things gray when it comes to consent, or make things gray when it comes to abuse of children, or make things gray when it comes to talking about these kinds of things. It just is what it is. It's very hard to see it any other way. And I'm going to play it again just one more time before we get up out of here, just so everybody understands that ain't nobody making this shit up, okay? This is something that you said out of your mouth. And let me go ahead and look at your comments before I do that. Let me go ahead and go back up. You said, right, I don't see him as no narcissist as well. But hold on one second. Let me go back up a little bit. You said Samba loves to fuss with people. She do. And I still love my Samba. She'll be fine. Okay, she'll get over it. But the bottom line is we can disagree with you, Samba. We don't all have to agree with you because you're a clinician. And it's particularly crazy as a clinician to be sure that you're not using such terms against people, because that's the problem. You cannot diagnose this man. You said the term conversational narcissist was coined by sociologist Charles Derber, who describes the trait of consistently turning a conversation back to yourself. Yeah, but he's got to give us some understanding of what the hell he's talking about. Because again, that's not what happened in this particular situation. Darrell was talking about his own experience with anti-Afro, because literally that is his experience, right? It wasn't like, we were talking about something totally different, and then he just came up and just started making things about himself. Somebody who does do that, though, is a person like Stargate, right? She always makes a conversation about herself, but I still can't call her a narcissist because I'm not her doctor. I can't diagnose her. But literally every single time anybody's talking about anything, I don't know about lately, but in the past, it don't matter what we're talking about, Stargate will get on that panel and make the conversation about her. That has happened multiple times, right? But that don't mean she's a narcissist, right? It just means she has a personality flaw. We don't know what that is because we're not her doctor. But yeah, I feel what you're saying. Speakeasy said all therapists are narcissistic. He said that's the whole damn sector, right? Well, I'm just saying we all talk about ourselves and shit, right? And what's up, Chad T? You said because I can, right? You said Speakeasy, I gave up my license and launched a business, not doing therapy with people no more. Okay. You said Darrell has had to defend himself from content creators, the chat, and AFW. Exactly. That doesn't mean that he's somehow some narcissist now, or he turns everything on himself or about himself. If you talking about me, I'm gonna talk about me. Like, what y'all mean, right? I think also there's a desire in this sector among some people that they should be able to say and feel whatever they want to without anybody pushing back, without anybody giving any type of pushback, without anybody having anything to say. Like that's what they want. They want to be able to just say how they feel and what they want without anybody pushing back on it. What's up, Photon? What's up, Photon?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, how are you?
I'm good. Hold on a second. Let me finish reading the chats real quick. You said too many for me, right? Just saying. What's up, Mia? He said, I don't see D as a narcissist. I don't either. It's just kind of hard to do that. You said, stop talking over me. Coming shirts coming soon. I need to make them goddamn shirts. I seen Chat Lives was talking about that last night. I need to go ahead and create that merch though. Definitely. You said you need a flow chart because a lot of disorders can present the same symptoms. Let's talk about it, Speak. And I'm not even a clinician, right? But most definitely there are different symptoms that could present themselves in different ways. I'd love Darrell to actually do a presentation on that. He did one of those presentations recently on different development disorders and personality disorders like schizophrenia and stuff like that, and how, you know, certain symptoms will present itself in certain ways. But that's why you have to take an extended period of time before you can give somebody an actual diagnosis like that, because you don't know. They might be hearing voices, but they very well might just be clinically depressed. They might not have schizophrenia, right? But you wouldn't know that until you actually go through clinical diagnosis of this person. You have to do testing. You got to put them up against, you know, certain things in order to really come to that that conclusion. You said you're talking over me. Shirts coming soon. You said this is a great lesson on narcissism and what it looks like. Speak, you know what? You said, can you say a person has those traits from online observations on YouTube as a therapist? Thank you. That's all I'm saying, Eyes. Like, I'm trying to let Samba understand that you can't just come up with that just based off of a couple of conversations you've had with him. You have never put him up against any battery testing in regards to mental health, right? You've never put him up against any scales or anything in order to come to a conclusion like that. You just happen to think that he's manipulative because that's, you know, you don't like what he said to you. You just happen to think he's controlling because you don't like what he said to you, but that doesn't mean he's actually diagnosed with that. Okay. And again, a diagnosis is exactly that. Whether you want to argue the wording or not, the definition, the Oxford Dictionary definition of diagnosis is the identification of the nature of an illness or other problem by examination of the symptoms, period. You haven't examined anything. You haven't put anything up against any battery testing. And so therefore you can't really say that. And that's just that. You said, I think Samba called Darrell is a conversational narcissist, means Google. A balanced conversation involves both sides, but conversational narcissists tend to keep the focus on themselves. So I heard what she's saying, but again, I don't get how that is how Darrell is, you know. You said, did it on purpose. You said, I think Samba called Darrell a conversational narcissist. Oh, I think you keep reading that part. You said, it's a clinical opinion. That's why in the medical field, you can always get a second opinion. Exactly. Like just, and even like, yeah, because even if a person does say, well, you have narcissistic personality disorder, I can still go to another doctor who might do a whole nother set of battery testing against me, and then they'll come with a different.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
And then they'll come with a different outcome of that. You said, I believe you just disarmed a narcissist in our face.
Hello?
You know what? I
Hello?
don't think she's a narcissist either. What's up, Photon? Go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yes, I was talking to my audience. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you?
Of course. But I'm on the panel though.
I told you, hold on a second. Maybe you didn't hear me say that. But go ahead.
With that speech that you just said, can you just also draw that same conclusion when it comes to just coming up with a diagnosis by calling a woman a hoe? Is it
really? Bro, that's not a diagnosis. A hoe is not a diagnosis. That's actually a what's that? An adjective, honey. Being a hoe is not a medical thing. That's just what you do. That's what you like. What that mean? Photon, you wildin', man. So you came up here just to say that.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Photon.
I'm not going to be able to get my point across on your channel. You have a good day.
This guy just said, can you use the same logic for diagnosing somebody as a hoe? A hoe is not a medical term. It's not a medical condition, right? But narcissistic personality disorder or narcissism, that is a medical condition. Okay, so there's a completely different thing here where, you know, you calling somebody a hoe. Let's look up the word hoe real quick. Okay, what is a hoe? What is a hoe? Shout out to Photonica. What is a damn hoe, bro? Let's see what a hoe is. And let's see if we can get any type of medical term out of it. So hoe is a pseudo-French spelling of the plural of hoe. It has the same pronunciation and meaning as the word hoe. Hoe can also refer to having sex on your own terms with consent. This can mean focusing on your pleasure, needs, and desires. Okay. So, sir, hoe is a slang term of endearment for like a bestie or a close friend, like, hey, ho, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. But that's not a diagnosis. Okay. So you stretched it. Okay. I'm gonna let you get that little stretch on. All right. But no, baby, your friend is still a motherfucking hoe. Okay. Yeah, she's a hoe. And she don't need to be diagnosed for that. Okay. That's just something that she admit to and something that she do. Okay. On God. Now that's what it is. You said exactly. You said that's why he's called Speak, right? Hey, Gator Girl, appreciate you. You said, hey, Miss T Pre in chat. Is this insane asylum acid Secktah with all us patients really trying to diagnose each other? Okay. Like now we got this whole thing going on. We diagnosing each other with narcissistic personality disorder, whole personality disorder, and all this shit. Child, like we got to stop it around here. Shout out to the Photonica, man. You said, let the king of the Secktah talk, okay? You said Photon is about to be phantom, okay? This nigga is wilding, y'all. This nigga wilding. You said, told y'all. Just saying. So we haven't diagnosed breaking the culture yet. But you know, I don't know. She probably got something going on, but she's definitely a hoe, you know, for sure. She definitely that, and we don't need no doctors to come in and prove that shit to us. Just saying. You said Photonica will be open today. Let's go, okay? Word. All right, listen, y'all. I definitely appreciate y'all for coming and hanging out with me. We've been here for 3 hours, guys. Make sure that y'all hit the like button on the way out. And again, like I said, you know, I'm having a real problem with that whole situation. I'm not saying that just after talking to her, I can't say that she physically wanted to, you know, just okay pedophilia, right? I just think based off of the way that the conversation came out, it definitely sounded like we were trying to rationalize such a thing. Oh, okay, I got you. Let me get you a link. And what's up, Brown Sugar Baby? I'll give you the link. I don't think that she was trying to rationalize pedophilia per se. I just think that based off of the conversation, it sounded like that. And, you know, it's kind of disturbing with her being a clinician. But however, with her being a clinician, her mind has expanded to certain things because she has spoken, you know, with certain people. And these are conversations that these people have had with her. You know, so I can understand where she would come to these conclusions, right? I can understand where she would come to this space. But, you know, it's again, you know, we can't speak for all men. But I don't think she was, you know, like she said, she was just simply talking about priests. But I also don't think you can speak for all priests, right? I think that these are things and desires and disorders that were already with these people before they got into these particular situations. I appreciate that super sticker, Muslim, for the $20 super sticker. Shout out to you for that, as well as Eyes for the 820. Definitely appreciate that today, guys. And I'm waiting for Brown Sugar Baby to come up. Let me go ahead and play y'all a quick timer because I need to go grab another water. So bear with me just a moment, and we're gonna wait for BSB.
Hey T, thank you for letting me up.
hear you. Hold on just a second, okay?
Oh,
Let me
okay,
play this.
sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll just listen to you because I already grabbed it. So what's up, sis?
Good. Thanks for letting me come up. Hi, everyone in the chat.
No
Only thing I
problem.
want to say to Samba Queen, and I love you, Samba Queen. I don't have any.
I love her too. Yeah.
I've always kicked it with you. Always liked your different perspective on things. But you gotta be really careful online doing that, of diagnosing people or saying that they have certain traits. Because I had a relative that had the traits of schizophrenia, but after studying it, she didn't have schizophrenia. It was her medicine. So once they took her off the medicine, all the symptoms went away. So we have
My
to.
son is actually going through the same thing. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it was after going through some battery testing. But he has been seeing another set of clinicians lately who don't think he has schizophrenia.
You shouldn't
Um,
saying a person had traits unless you studied him long enough to say he had that one trait.
right.
And that's what you're saying. You studied him long enough to know that he had one trait that you saw up front and studied his behavior. It takes a while for you to be able to diagnose a person with that. And sometimes
Exactly.
those symptoms could be coming from medication, stress,
Mhm.
all types of things. So we have to be careful how we involve our career with social media and
Exactly.
taking sides, and you hear this word and you think it's cute and you're running with it, but you can get yourself in a lot of trouble just diagnosing him with that one trait.
Exactly. And the reason why I gave her that pushback, it's not because Darrell is my fave or anything like that. I gave her that pushback because both her and Darrell had said, we got to stop using everybody's a narcissist. They both have said that. We've got to stop using the word narcissist to define somebody who disagrees with you or define somebody who, has a strong personality. We have to stop doing that. And I have personally watched my wording on that because of these two, right? So for her to turn around and say Darrell is as narcissistic conversationalist or whatever that is, I'm like, what does that mean? And she started breaking down what she said it meant. So I started looking it up, right? And because I'm not a clinician, so I don't have the DSM info, so let me go ahead and take a look at what this means. And it's very clear what narcissism is. And it's a personality style that involves excessive self-involvement and a preoccupation with one's own needs. How do you come up with that from the conversation you were having with him yesterday? You see what I'm saying? Like that doesn't.
But the thing about it, when Darrell had people on, he let them just go. Sometimes he sleeps through it.
Okay, we've
So
all
how
had
is
Darrell
reflecting
sleep
back?
on the panel.
Now, Starter is the one that will come in, and we could be
Exactly.
talking about something, and she'll switch it around. Well, you said I was that, and you said I was this. Now
Exactly.
that is what I would say, but even still,
I still can't call her narcissistic, right?
Yeah,
because I don't know.
But with us being probably not part of that profession, it's easier for us to say, okay, we look at him and we see this. But she has a license. That's different. You can't throw that word around like that.
Right, exactly. And I'm
you can get in a
particularly
lot
sensitive to
of
it.
trouble. If
Yes,
Darrell
ma'am.
wanted to, he could get you in some trouble because you haven't studied him long enough to even say he had that one trait.
And she even agreed with what I was saying while she was up here. I'm like, you have to put him through like clinical battery testing in order for you to really have an understanding. You have to have like some clinical interviews with him for you, and it has to be over an extended period of time, right? It's not like it's this is like even when the doctor diagnosed my son with schizophrenia, and now that's being questioned, right? Because he has another set of clinicians. Now that's actually being questioned, they're like, no, I don't think that's what it is, right? It's
and I don't blame you.
And the reason why they're saying it is because there's certain symptoms that show up in various, things. Like, for instance, let me just give you an example of like lupus, right? I have lupus. And there's certain conditions that you might experience as a person with lupus that somebody with Lyme disease has as well. Okay. But I have to be properly diagnosed with the proper condition in order for it to be properly treated. So if you're treating somebody for schizophrenia and all they have is depression, of course the medications that you're giving them might make their symptoms worse, right? So, you've got to be properly diagnosed, which means you got to go through a series of clinical battery testing. And she has not done that with Darrell. She hasn't. She's just had some opposing conversations to him. You know what I mean? And that's not enough to give him a diagnosis. What's up, Outlaw?
Hey, I don't want to take up much of your time, but when you talking this topic, this is my topic. I
That's your
love
topic.
it.
Yeah.
Go into, don't take my word for it. I'm a faceless troll. Go into the medical research. Zinc plays a significant role with people who have so-called schizophrenia. Vitamin B3, there's a lot of nutritional issues. If you are deficient, that's how you get the manifestation of the behaviors. All you have to do is look up orthomolecular medicine. It's all about nutrition. There's some great doctor YouTube pages here where they're doing keto psychiatry, nutritional psychiatry. Go study that stuff on your own, people. You'll be blown away. That's why I gave up my therapist license, because I was not allowed to use nutrition with the children. I had companies lined up to donate stuff. So I just want to share that. Don't listen to me. It's
No,
readily
I do.
available at your fingertips. And lastly, there's a cool movie. It's called The Vitamin Movie. It's about an hour and 50 minutes. They walk you through while citing various research about how B3, which is tied to your frontal lobe, how that is attached to ADHD symptoms. There's a whole host of information. You could go on archive.org. I'll post it on my community wall for people. I
Okay.
highly recommend you go watch that film. These are from actual people who've been in the field forever and a day, and they talk about how you could literally use targeted nutrition to get rid of these behavioral issues. The medications are toxic. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right, brown sugar baby, I'll do that. And yes, thank you so much, Outlaw. And I'll tell you, I'd like to have another conversation like this in regards to that, and just invite you to the panel. You dropped off now, but I would love to invite you to the panel to have a more in-depth conversation in regards to that, because you're right. Living life, like you said, when a Black man tells his doctors he's depressed and wants to end it all, they tend to be labeled with schizophrenia, right? And that seemed to have happened with my child, right? And now that we've spoken with some other clinicians, we've gotten some other things going on, some nutritional things happening. There seems to be a major difference, and he doesn't have that same diagnosis, So yeah, definitely agreed. And again, thank you so much, Muslim, for all the super chats. I truly, truly appreciate that. That $50 that you wanted to send, definitely appreciate that. What's up, Photon? Let me put up my Cash App for you. What's up, Photon?
Hey, I wanted to say, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I wanted to just say, in her defense, in Samba Queen's defense, when we talk amongst each other, we don't talk as professionals. We speak all as laymen, even professionals. Even if we're professionals in a field, we're talking amongst other people, just civilians, as laymen.
Yeah, I agree. But that wasn't what I wasn't coming against her for that. What I was saying is she is actually giving him a diagnosis. She was saying he is
Hello,
narcissistic.
hello,
Can you hear me?
hello. Can you hear me? Can I finish? Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point without you cutting me?
I never cut you to begin with. So if you're up here
What?
just being,
No, I'm not up here. I want to get my point out without being cut first.
you weren't cut to begin with. Did y'all hear me cut him off? Because I didn't cut you off. I think your hearing is in and out, because you're going in and out. Well, thank you, Outlaw. Definitely appreciate that. You said great combo, T Pre. You were able to keep the combo stabilized, right? Yeah, I don't think, I'm not trying to do this to go back and forth and carrying on. So it may be that you just don't hear me, Photon.
Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna come back off my phone. I'm gonna get off my phone.
Okay. Okay. You said happened to my male school friend too. Yeah. And I'm glad that I'm getting to a space now where my son is getting the proper diagnosis, right, and getting the proper treatment for what's going on, because they do tend to just throw that word on, and that's a very strong personality issue, and or a very strong mental disorder, and he doesn't have the symptoms of such those things. He really does not. You said Black Lounge Divine, you're welcome. But thank you so much for that. And Brown Sugar, that is my Cash App right there. So I appreciate that as well. You said Living Life, how is the weather in the UK? Yeah, how is the weather over there? Because, girl, this weather over here has been bipolar like a motherfucker. I'm going to diagnose this weather, okay? Because this bipolar shit over here has been crazy. It was cool and nice and decent. And then all of a sudden, it got super hell hot yesterday. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, ain't it September? Shit. I remember back in the day, after Labor Day, it would start to get cool, right? After, that Labor Day weekend, it would start to cool off a little bit. It wasn't like 90 degrees outside. And you're right, I didn't cut him off. So I think what's going on is I don't know if he's on a train or what, but he's in and out. And so I think he thinks he's being cut off, but he needs to calm down. He said, it's on my wall. The movie I cited, go and watch for yourself. Okay, we'll definitely be doing that, Outlaw. And thank you so much for putting that up. You said, seems to be a delay. Yeah, definitely. You said you can easily turn around a person's mental health struggles by feeding the brain properly. Mm-hmm. Yep. You said those mental health leaves follow you for life. Yeah, they do. They do. It's a shame. You said Black Lounge Divine, I know YouTube takes 30% of super chats. If I had a Cash App, I would have definitely sent the money that way. It's no problem. It's no problem. I don't mind the residual income. It comes in, at the end of the month. He said, my friend is going through this same thing with her son. Yeah, and it's very important. And I will just say this from my own experience. It is very important to get more than one clinician's, thought processes on it. It's very important also to get more than one clinician's idea of what type of medications should be used, whether medications are even needed, and if it's just a matter of changing up the diet and different things like that. All right, Photon, I can hear you, and everybody in the chat is saying I'm not cutting you off.
Okay, yeah, I was using my phone and my headset, so yeah, that's probably why I'm at my computer now.
Okay, what's up?
All right, well, I wanted to just say what's up and just say just take up for Samba Queen, saying that yeah, we talk kind of recklessly, and a lot of things we say, whether with using words from medicine or law or just history, it's just like we don't really know the real definitions. We may know a surface or what our understanding of what a word is, but we don't really know what a lot of words that we say really mean. The majority of us, even
Right.
doctors and therapists, that we talk loosely unless we're in a hospital and we have to give a diagnosis to a person and give this, or we're being paid to give a professional opinion, or we're in a court of law, for example, or just anything like that. There is a type of conversation that we as people just have. So yeah, we're going to say things loosely and not technically. The interesting thing I think comes into play is because she happens to be a therapist and she's using therapy words, clinical words to
right.
define and identify people. And so that's where it gets kind of complicated. You hear what I'm saying? So, but I think it's only natural. We all do it. We all just be saying words we really don't know the definitions of, but we just say it because we heard somebody else use that word, and our understanding of, for example, bipolar, oh, they bipolar, and yada yada, is not really meaning on the is a surface description. That's all I had to say about that topic.
No, I agree with you. I think all of us do that. You know what I mean? I've even called you bipolar, right? But that don't mean I'm actually, diagnosing you with that. Here's the problem though. If I was a therapist, okay, whether I'm in a a YouTube or a relaxed environment or not. Because let's use Samba's logic for a second, because what she said about Carrie-Ann, right, is Carrie-Ann can only use certain wording. There's certain things she shouldn't be saying because she's an educator, because she's a teacher, right? Whether she's on YouTube or not. They're even to the point where they're willing to go to this woman's job. They want to protest her job. They want to contact the school board. They want to do all this stuff because they claim she's, as a teacher, should only be able to say this or only be able to say that. That could be true to a certain extent, right? Because, as a teacher, you don't want to be caught, saying certain things that would be harmful to a child. Not so much the stuff that Carrie has said, because I don't think she has really said anything that would be harmful to her students or harmful to a child. But if she was speaking from saying that pedophilia, for instance, is normal, right? And that, children should think this way or think that way about pedophilia. And then she's turning around and saying, I teach this to my kids, that could be problematic for her, right? It's the same thing with Samba Queen. In this particular situation, if she had said Darrell is, Darrell is he just is self-centered, or Darrell loves attention, right? Or Darrell struggles with empathy, or Darrell hates criticism. That's not diagnosing him, okay? That's just giving him, some critiques. That's just saying how she feels about him. But for her to use clinical terms in describing him, that is where it gets gray. And that's all we're saying. We're not saying, we hate Samba, cancel Samba, Samba's done. All I'm saying is you can't turn around and tell us we have to stop diagnosing people by using the word narcissism, and then turn around and use that word and then double down on it. And then when I give you what the definition of it is, you tell me, oh, I'm not diagnosing him. Well, what is a diagnosis? A diagnosis is, in fact, the identification of the nature of an illness or other problem by examination of symptoms. So the only way that you can come to a full conclusion that this man is narcissistic, not that he's manipulative or that he's controlling or that he craves attention, but you're using the actual clinical term narcissistic, then now you're giving him a diagnosis. And that, unfortunately,
but she don't mean it in a clinical way. She means it in a roasty way.
Yeah, we get it. We get that. But what would happen in the court of law? Is the court of law going to say, well, she didn't mean it like that. She meant it to roast you. No, like literally, he actually has a case against that for that diagnosis. Do you see what I'm saying? Because she used it, even though her intentions weren't to do that. Just like Tasha K's intentions weren't to owe Cardi B $4 million. But the court sees it that way based off of what she said. You see what I mean? Even if she didn't mean it that way, that's what happened. And that's all I'm saying.
So basically you're saying it's not fair to call someone a crackhead, even if they display crackhead symptoms.
That's totally different. That's not a diagnosis. That's just calling, that's like calling a hoe is not a diagnosis.
I'm confused.
So if I call somebody a hoe, no doctor has ever diagnosed somebody with hoism.
How do you know?
What doctor? Let's look up if hoe is a condition. Okay, let's see. Is hoe a condition that could be diagnosed?
See, because we already just dealing with complex terms like narcissism. It's not something solid. It's a mental condition. It's a mental state.
Right,
we
exactly.
cannot just box it and define it like, oh, there it is. Let's take it off of them, and now they're cured. You know what I mean?
So that is not even a hoe is not even a. Even
so is hoe a mental dysfunction in itself? Is hoeing, and how do we know it hasn't been studied such?
Well,
and they have
I don't think being a
dysfunction.
hoe is a mental condition. I think that there may be conditions that cause someone to act out in certain ways sexually, right? But I don't think that being a hoe is an actual condition, is an actual diagnostic condition. No, not at all. Now you might have certain behavior based off of a condition. But, you know, everybody who has a certain condition doesn't make them a hoe. You know what I'm saying? They might have other things that they do, you know, based off of that condition. But then again, everybody that decides to be a hoe doesn't mean they have any kind of
So you're
condition
saying
at
a
all.
hoe is not a mental condition?
No, it's an act.
I
You
personally
know,
think everything is a mental condition.
okay. It could be, but it's not it's not one that could be diagnosed, because it's just an act. It's things you decide to do. It's, you know,
Why not?
sexual behavior.
Why not? Because it can't be made money off of diagnosing it. What's the objective in
I don't know.
diagnosing
I can't
mental
answer that.
conditions
I can't answer that.
if it's
All
all
I can
mental
say is
conditions?
I don't know. I can't answer that. All I can say is that hoe is not listed in the DSM, whatever that is.
What about loneliness? If you walk in a park and you see somebody sitting there alone, can you diagnose them as they're a lonely person based upon
Loneliness is also not a medical condition. It's not a medical clinical condition. It may be a symptom of other conditions, right? But it's
is
not a
loneliness a
actual
mental
term.
condition? Is loneliness a mental condition?
It could be. You could see it that way. But you know, a mental condition, you know, I don't know. Like my mental condition right now is happy. You know, my mental condition is gleeful, but that's not a medical term.
Let's go back to Samba. Do you think Samba speaks logically on these YouTube streets?
Sometimes, yeah. I think a lot of things that she said has been logical. I think a lot of things that she said I've taken heed to. I don't got no problem with Samba Queen, but I can disagree with her, and I can openly do that. That doesn't mean I'm against her.
Do you think her opinion on D. Durrell is fairly accurate when it comes
No,
to what she said about a conversational narcissist?
no, because I've experienced something different with D. But maybe that's what she feels. Her experience with him is he has all these things that she claims. I don't feel that way. That's not my experience with him.
So your point is she or no one should use clinical terms to describe someone because they are not diagnosed with that
She has
condition.
not been able to put him against battery testing in order to come to a conclusion that he's narcissistic. Narcissistic is an actual clinical term. Hoe is not. You can find the term narcissistic in the DSM-5. You cannot find hoe in there. But I can describe you as either one. But if I'm going to describe you as a narcissist, then I better have some accurate battery testing to prove that. If I don't want to get sued. Am I right?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not in the field of therapy.
You're right. Neither am I. But I'm just saying, you know, that's what happens. When you start putting diagnoses on people, when you start putting information out about people, you got to be able to back it up. You know, and if somebody gives you pushback, that doesn't mean that they dislike you. That doesn't mean that they hate you. It just means they're giving you pushback. They disagree. He said, my friend is going through this with her son, and that's unfortunate. I hope she does get that real information. He said, eyes, we're having a heat wave. Yeah, it's terrible over here.
Yeah, it's
too.
hot. Yeah, I got to get on. All right. Let me go, but yeah, it's something to think about. All right, take care.
All right, Photon. You said, thank you. People RD. You said, it's hot. Okay. You said, it's hot, child. It don't make no goddamn sense. And you said, Outlaw, what is your channel? If somebody can, one of the mods is here, maybe you guys can put a link to Outlaw's channel in here. That way everybody can get to it. And we can go over there and see what he's got on there, because I'd like to look at that today. You said, thank you. This mixing professions with social media is an absolute no-no. It is. It is a no-no, right? Now, like I said, you know, there's a big difference in giving your personal opinion about people, or giving your personal opinion about a situation or whatever. You are welcome to. Carrie is welcome to. Samba's welcome to. Darrell, everybody is welcome to their opinion about subjects, whatever that subject is. It is a totally different thing as a clinician for you to diagnose someone with a condition, okay, with a condition that is actually listed in the DSM-5, okay? It is a completely different thing to do that. And how I was able to come to that understanding as much as I have is through people like Samba and like Darrell, right? Because we have all ran around here saying people are narcissists. I remember saying that all the time about Star. You a damn narcissist. This girl's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. And y'all both were like, you cannot say somebody is a narcissist unless you have put them through clinical battery testing, period. Okay? So we're just giving you the same pushback that you've said. And that's all. It doesn't mean we're against you. It doesn't mean I dislike you. And now it's, everybody come against Samba Queen. It ain't even like that. But at the end of the day, you got to stand on your own words too, right? You got to stand on, the things that you say. And you got to, you got to hold yourself to the same standards that you hold everybody else to. You said living life and D&I are something ourselves on the porch. And I don't know what you just said, man. You said, Outlaw, what is the name of your channel? You said it's 95 degrees by me. Yeah, and I know you up in Jersey. It's hot as fuck here in Delaware too. You said you going too far. Mm-hmm. You said my channel is Outlaw Light Easy. Okay. You said Muslim. You said, hey, the brown sugar baby. You said, how are you, beautiful? And you said, living life. I are something ourselves on the porch at our loft. Our son and ourselves on the porch on our loft. You said, I'll drop Outlaw's channel 1 second. Okay, thank you. You said, I rarely post because YouTube pulls my stuff down often for so-called quote unquote misinformation. Yeah, because they are in the business of keeping us ignorant as well. And, as long as we fighting and arguing with each other and doxing each other and all that shit, they ain't got no problem with that. But as soon as you start speaking truth to power and you start speaking about Black people rising above and, and start speaking on our mental health and proper mental health and properly being diagnosed and getting into proper, nutrition and stuff like that, then they want to be like, I don't know about that. We got to keep these people dumbed down, right? You said, my cousin was locked in a mental hospital and diagnosed with schizophrenia. It was only the medication was the problem. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You said, thanks, Outlaw. I get the B special injections and amino acids periodically. I may start giving the B special to my children. I'm interested in the nutrition aspect of mental health. Me too. I have been looking a little bit into that. And there's a lot of there's more of those types of clinics further south than there are up here. And I kind of wondered why, like, especially in North Carolina and South Carolina and stuff, there's more of those types of clinics where they're doing the nutrition aspect and they're looking at injections and vitamin therapy and stuff like that. That's going along with the mental health. And to me, it just seems like they just kind of keep people in a loop of taking these meds and going to these doctors just to keep people going to the doctor because it just keeps the money going, which is unfortunate. So we gotta take, matters in our own hands with that. You said you don't mix the two if you are in that profession. I totally agree. And this is Outlaw's link. So let me go ahead and click that too real quick so that we all can get over there and see what the brother is talking about, because I'm very interested. Very, very interested. Let's see. Okay, so here it is right here. All right, cool. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm at the wrong one. Let me see that again. That's going to Muslim's channel. So that's not Outlaw's channel. You said, I will do a post of some books y'all can get. Google is pulling stuff off the net. Okay, thank you. You said, but she is reckless. You can't do that. Yeah, right, exactly. It's just unfortunate, that she doesn't, I don't think she's quite seeing that side of it. I think, and Samba has a strong personality. Sometimes she just wants to be right. You know, she's gonna fall on her own sword. And that's just what it is. I get you, right? I'm not saying you're always right. I'm not saying you're always trying to say you're right. But in this particular situation, sometimes you just don't want to budge. And I think you're not realizing that this is not an attack against you, but it's literally you diagnosing this man. Okay. And that is not cool. It's not cool at all. Because, you know, I haven't heard him diagnose you for real. He's at Outlaws channel. Okay. So that is Muslims channel. Because it's taking me directly to Muslims page. So let me make sure again that that's where it's going. Yeah, this is going to Muslims channel. So if you guys have Outlaws channel, let me know. But yeah, you said Clark. You said thank you. You said you're welcome. You said Outlaw. Thank you. You said vitamin D is very important for Black people too. You said I don't know why it's not coming up. Outlaw, can you go to the community and comment on my post so I can get to your page? Me too. If you can go in this community wall, on my wall, or if you can hit this video when it's over, that way I can click right to your channel, because that went to Muslims channel right there. You said I do in real life with clients. That's why I gave up my license. I have a testimonial on my page how I got rid of a woman's brain fog using B vitamins. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you said, Outlaw, I just started using legendary colloidal minerals. I do use colloidal minerals as well. And I haven't been using them lately, and I need to start using that again. That colloidal silver is really good. You said, yes, eyes. You said facts. However, I do believe serious topics one shouldn't talk on without knowing something or possessing some solid knowledge, in my opinion. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. You said alkaline diet cleaned my whole ex, right? You said Outlaw sub, thank you. You said I just did eyes. And you said Clark, cool. I take colloidal copper. I will have to look up the legendary colloidal minerals. Colloidal copper, colloidal silver, and I think it's called monotonic gold or something like that. Either way, get all that stuff in your system, and things do change. You said, thanks, Outlaw TMK. Hey. And you said, I will post my favorite books, all how you can safely reverse mental health issues. Right. You said, eyes. Yep, I use that. And the MSM as well. You said, brown sugar baby. You said, that's an insult. He said, she is in a position to diagnose mental illness. Exactly. Well, actually, she isn't. She would be a treater of it. A psychiatrist would have to diagnose it. And then she could treat the condition. She could do various forms of therapy to help with the condition, but she can't diagnose. She's not even in a position to diagnose a mental health condition. Even Darrell said he's not in a position to diagnose a mental health condition. You have to work under the care of a psychiatrist to get the actual condition diagnosed, but then he is in a position to treat such diagnoses. So yeah, she can treat them, but she can't even diagnose herself. But she's sitting here diagnosing somebody with narcissism. You know, like yeah, that's a clinical term. It just is. You said, but she tells us we're not clinicians, so we don't understand. So if she is roasting, why bring up being a clinician? Exactly. You can't put the two together. Like, I get it, you know, and I need Photon to understand, and this is part of the problem with some of the men. They don't get that us women can talk to each other and we can have an understanding of some shit, and we don't need niggas to jump in it and get involved and try to, you know, take sides, because none of the men are doing that. Okay, they're just giving their perspective, and I'm giving my perspective, and Samba's giving her perspective. So we're not taking sides here. That's not what's happening. But this is what she did. It's unfortunate, you know. That's what she did. You said that's funny. He said, thanks, Outlaw. I look forward to it. I'd like to help my school friend more with his mental health issues. That's awesome. He said, Outlaw just subbed. He said, we'll post the pic now. Y'all can get the books cheap on like thrift books. Okay. You said, but she's a professional. She can't mix it up in social media. I think one professional lost their license for this on YouTube. Not mad at you, Samba. Just be careful. Exactly. And like, particularly while you're telling other women to be careful, right? while you're giving such advice to other women, you should be following that same advice, right? I know we all most of the time don't follow our own advice, right? But yeah, you should follow that same advice, but because what Carrie is saying and doing is not jeopardizing her position as a teacher. It isn't, you know, as much as you may want that to be because you don't like her. It's not putting her job in jeopardy. But what you're doing is most definitely putting your license in jeopardy, for sure. It is, whether you know you like that or not. You said living life to the fullest. Can you drop my channel in the chat? We they already did. She put that up earlier. That's your channel up there. He said, okay. He said, social avoidance is a diagnosis. It is. It is. He said, look up Harlosphenia. Harlosphenia? What the hell is that? Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. Let me throw a quick thing up real quick for y'all. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Okay, my bad, guys. All right, so let me go back to the comments real quick. Oh, way up here. Let me look that up real quick. He said Harlosphenia. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, man? Hold on, let me see. Harlow so front. You know what? I'm not fucking with you, Speak. I'm not fucking with you, man. I'm not fucking with you. You said living life to the fullest. You said I have no problem with Samba. I don't either. I love Samba. I ain't got no beef with her. But yeah, Samba can be asked tough questions. You know what I'm saying? Just like anybody else around here. I'm not sure why, you know, some people are supposed to be above questioning. I don't know. You said social avoidance is a condition. Mm-hmm. And that's Muslim's channel again. He said, living life, thanks. He said, why am I yelling? Hey, Stephanie Collins, I appreciate you being in the building. He said, why am I yelling? He said, you're welcome. He said, I did a 45-second video. It's uploading, has the books I told y'all about. He said, and there is no collective group thinking. I'm tired of that narrative. I get tired of that too, right? It's like if I have a different point of view, or if other people in my chat agree with me, that doesn't mean that it's group thinking, right? It just means I disagree with your thoughts, right? I disagree with what you're saying, you know, and I'm entitled to that. That doesn't mean we have to fight about it. That doesn't mean now we're mortal enemies. Now I got to look up your job and I got to find your job and all this stuff. It just means we disagree with each other, bro. It ain't that deep. And a lot of us need to start developing a little bit more emotional control, right? And stop being so, you know, so offended every time somebody thinks you're wrong, right? Like there's so many times I have been told I'm fucking wrong up here, right? There's been so many times where y'all have tried to correct me. There is a difference for me in correction when it's coming from a troll, right? Where they're just trying to just be, you know, disruptive. And there's a totally different thing when you're like, nah, Pri, no, you're wrong. Okay. This ain't how I feel. This is a different perspective. And then once we get a conversation going and we talk out those perspectives, you can kind of either agree to disagree, or you'd be like, you know what, you're right. You know what I'm saying? And I've done that multiple times, right? So yeah, this whole narrative of you must agree with everything I say, or you know, you're the enemy is just weird to me, you know, and it's childish, and it speaks volumes about some people's mental state, for real. You said books are up on the community wall. Okay, great. You said 2 channels were posted, Miss T. Pre. Oh, okay. Because I got one. I only got one, so maybe I'm wrong. You said it is brown sugar baby. Isn't it a sign of feeling down, not wanting to socialize with peers or family? Yes, yes. You said I've posted. Okay, okay. So I probably didn't scroll up hard enough, far enough. My bad, my bad. You said Outlaw was the first, Muslims the second posted. Okay, got you, got you, got you. Okay, now I see Outlaws too. So let me look at that one real quick. Let me get to that real quick. We about to get out of here, y'all, because I'm actually ready to go eat some lunch and chill out. I think I'm gonna watch some true crime today. I don't have to do anything for the other channel. Let me see. Okay, I got you now. All right. Shout out to Outlaw because I got all the notifications on and I got everything going on over there as well. And again, Outlaw, I'll be hitting you up so that we can put together a show and kind of talk about these things in detail, right? Just kind of go over a lot more of this stuff. You said, thanks, Clark. He said, the speakeasy man, you got us on a timer. He said, if y'all start with one book, get the Dr. Murphy book I'm holding up in the pic. All of them are good. Okay. We'll definitely do that. Harlot schizophrenia. It's a joke. I know. I got you. I got you. I had to look at it though, because I didn't know what he was talking about. Harlot schizophrenia. He said, brown sugar baby. Yes, that lady lost her job for telling black men they need to go to therapy. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, it was something that this therapist, I think she was a therapist too, was saying. It was just a bunch of stuff. But yeah, you gotta, you gotta be real careful in doing that shit on God. You said speak. You said, and we should be able to disagree with each other. We are not all the same, right? Like, I don't get the idea of if you disagree with me, you feel so offended by that, right? Like, if I disagree with you, like, why are you so offended by me disagreeing with you? I'm allowed to disagree with you, you know? I'm allowed to not feel what you're saying. I'm allowed to give you an opposing point of view. But the funny part about it is some people feel like only they are allowed to do that. And then once you do it, it's like holy hell breaks loose, right? Like, it's okay. Well, I'm gonna need everybody to just pull that together. And I'm not saying that about Samba. And actually, I wasn't saying that about Samba. You said Outlaw, is it the same Dr. Murphy who wrote The Power of Your Subconscious Mind? You said Murphy. And then you said Living Life. No, I think that's a different, this one, he only talks about health stuff, I think. Okay. You said Living Life. I love that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I refer to it a lot. Plus, I listen to all his YouTube stuff. Okay. And well, listen, guys, I appreciate all of y'all for being in the building. You said great live. Thank you, Muslim. And thank you all for all the super chats as well. You said, yes, T-Pre, I'm ready. I have done formal lectures on mental health, and I do it for a living, working with people among technologies I have developed and sell. Okay, so what we'll do is on Thursday, are you available on Thursday? Because maybe Thursday evening, maybe about 6 or 7, maybe we can get into this conversation in regards to mental health issues, mental health diagnoses, or what we can do about some of these diagnoses. Also, what other alternatives there are to these things, right? I particularly like to hear about depression, clinical depression, as well as schizophrenia. I would particularly love to hear some of the natural remedies for reversing a lot of this stuff. And that's going to be an awesome conversation. So if you're able to, let me know maybe around 7 p.m. on Thursday. I'll drop the link and you can come on up and we can have a really great conversation in regards to that. You said, Clark, yes, love that self-help book. I didn't know he's on YouTube. We'll try to find it. You said, Outlaw. You said, everyone have a great day. What's up, bestie? Appreciate you being in the building. You said Black Lounge Divine Peace and chat. All right, guys. So listen, guys, we are out of here. You said I can do evening after I feed the little ones. Okay. All right. So maybe we can do like around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. I'll probably hit the link I'll probably drop about 7:30. Okay. That way we can definitely get into it. That's a little bit of time. And, we can have some time to do that. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern time. Hope you're on Eastern. But either way, guys, and if not, just let me know. Put it in the comment section here on this video. Let me know if that's not a good time, and then we'll go ahead and come up with another time. But either way, guys, I will talk to y'all later. I really appreciate this great conversation we had. We have been here for almost 4 hours. Shout out to everybody that tapped in. Muslim tapping in. Photon for tapping in. Samba Queen, I appreciate you tapping in as well. Shout out to Carrie'S for coming into the chat. And for others, that everybody that came into the chat today, definitely appreciate you guys. Brown Sugar Baby, Ray Triggs, Clark, Living Life, Outlaw, Muslim, and Outlaw, I appreciate you coming on the panel as well. Muslim on the panel. Speak Easy, I appreciate you coming in the building. Darrell was in the building. We got Steph Collins in the building. Vici, Eyes, definitely appreciate you. Also, you coming on the panel as well. And everybody else, if I missed you guys, it's not because, you know, I don't remember. Literally just charge it to the game. TMK, I appreciate your presence as well as your out input into this. And everybody else that put in their 2 cents as well. Definitely appreciate the super chats from Muslim and from Eyes. And I think there was another person that was it. Gator Girl, I appreciate you coming in as well. Mia Carter, I appreciate you. Chad T, appreciate you. So if I'd missed you, I'm sorry. It's not on purpose. It's literally because, Tiff P, I appreciate you for coming in as well. Everybody, Slander God, appreciate you. Everybody seemed to have given quite a bit of great information and put in their ideas on this. So I appreciate everybody and their support and everything that you guys have said. And I am no joke as well. I am human first as well. And if I didn't mention you, I do apologize, guys. But I definitely Nova Real Show. I keep coming about somebody else. And the Smoke God, Vici, West Bank. There's a lot of you that came out today. So thank you guys for coming out. Riz, appreciate you. And make sure that y'all hit the like button on the way out. So guys, we are out of here. And I will talk to y'all later. And peace, guys. Thank y'all for watching. We'll be back at it on Thursday. And we are going to have a conversation in regards to mental health. Okay? Peace, guys.